Fabulous fabric from the land of the five rivers.
Raiders!
2 years ago, when we came to Los Angeles, I really believed that the greatness of the Raiders would be in its future.
We back. Y'all already know what time it is.
Oh, you didn't know?
50-50.
Here we go.
Welcome to the 50-50 Show with PharoahNFL and the Severe Raider, the realest show for Raider Nation.
The perpetuation of the greatness of the Raiders to take a professional football team and give it a distinct characteristic that's different from all others.
Make sure to clock in, like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.
Man, y'all already know what time it is, man. It's the 50-50 Show, man. Hey, with myself, PharoahNFL, obviously my guy, the Severe Raider in the building, man. We appreciate everybody pulling up. And man, I always say this, man, the Raiders always keep it interesting. And watching that game, I already knew someone was going to get fired. I already knew someone was going to get fired. Like, I wouldn't have been surprised if Pete got fired. But guess what? Who got fired? Chip Kelly. So we're going to get into that. Chip Kelly was fired after the loss against the Browns. We'll get into that. We'll get into, obviously, who can possibly be let go. You know, I don't think the Raiders are done, man. This is not looking too good for the Raiders coaching staff, but we'll get into that conversation. Obviously, a flag on the plays, notable quotables, all that good stuff. We'll get into that, man. We appreciate everybody pulling up. The night crew in the building. My guy TK pulling up. He says, salute, fellas. I know there's a mixed feelings about Chip being fired, but it could be a win-win because now the spotlight's strictly on Carroll. Look, I seen somewhere where people were talking about Pete Carroll as a head coach never fired assistants during the season. It's never happened for him until now, until he fired, obviously the special teams coordinator after the Broncos game, and now after this Browns game, he fired Chip Kelly, which tells you that he's getting desperate. You know what I mean? Like, he's trying to find other reasons or scapegoats to point to on why the Raiders are losing or having a tough season. But I don't know if it's enough, man. I think, he's trying, but we'll see if it will be enough. But I don't think it's going to be enough. I think the Raiders should move on, obviously, like, for a number of different reasons that we'll get into. But my guy, coach in the building, that thumbnail is what's wrong. He's probably talking about I did it on purpose, because when I seen that, it was just a funny look after, with the Raiders playing bad or whatever. But he's living his best life.
Marking is that the one he's like? I think you sent the picture. Mark is like talking. Like I said, man, I don't be paying attention to shit like that. People, I think fans be like, anytime somebody says something about that, like, it's like the week before somebody like tweeted out a picture like that, it always makes me think of like when like the Portland Trail Blazers were bad, and then like people were like, so like they were talking about like Damian Lillard like writing rap songs. He's like, oh, so instead of writing raps, you should be in the gym working on your game.
Right.
He's like, bro, like you think it's what I do, like 24 hours a day? Am I supposed to just like basketball? It's like people got like lives outside of like other things. So like I'm at the game, Raiders are getting their ass whipped. I'll be socializing too. I'll be talking like I ain't just like looking at the field angry and upset. So I don't have that same expectations, but just optics. You gotta understand optics.
Yeah, it's really optics, and the Raiders are just bad, and they've been bad for so long. And a guy that's been constant is a Mark Davis, and you see him just laughing it up, and just like during the Browns game, just smiling, laughing, or whatever. Which at the end of the day, like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, he's hey man, he's a billionaire owning the Raiders, and people keep spending on the Raiders. So hey, he's gonna keep smiling, at the end of the day. So it is what it is. He says no focus on winning. Front office doesn't care. Players don't care. Only ones that care are the fans, and they don't play the games. I mean, I think they care. They just suck, man. It is what it is. They care.
Yeah, they just suck.
They just suck. Front office, I'm willing to give him more time.
I saw Max laughing at and joking after the game with Shedeur Sanders. Like, should he like?
Yeah.
Like, people like, oh, look at Max laughing. You can't laugh. like what? This people expectations is wild, bro. Feel like this ain't Madden. These are like human beings. But it's like, all right,
yeah.
You got that.
I mean, look, our expectations of seasons wasn't high, but I was telling Severe, man, like, it's funny because my expectation of the season wasn't that high, but the Raiders somehow went lower.
Yeah.
They're somehow worse than what I thought they were going to be. Like, I didn't think they were going to be good this season, but how are you worse than what I thought you were going to be? Like, the offense, obviously, it starts with the offense, obviously, not being as good as I thought it was going to be. And, a lot of different reasons, Chip, Pete Carroll and the way he's kind of handled his first season as a coach with the Raiders, and how he's not on the same page with Spy Tech. It just smells like dysfunction. And man, there's so many things going wrong with this team this year. But yeah, a lot of people could be like, oh, same old Raiders. Yeah. Coach says to be successful in anything, you have to be obsessed. To be successful with the Raiders, you have to be obsessed times 1,000. That's the only Raiders are going to be. Hey, look, I think the quarterback. You know what? I agree with you on this though. I'll say the quarterback. I want the quarterback to be obsessed. I want the quarterback to be the first guy in the building, because he's going to be the guy. He's the leader. He's automatic. Whether it's fair or not, that quarterback position is so important, and you cannot be a leader at that position.
Yeah, that's right. But
so
see that. No,
so I would want. So I agree that whoever is the quarterback, they got to be obsessed. I think Cam Newton, when he was talking about, Anthony Richardson and the reason why it didn't work out with the Colts and why he's not the starter is he was saying, like, you cannot be looked at as not one of the hardest workers. You can't be looked at as one of the hardest workers on the team, because he talked about, like, Derek Anderson, backup quarterback, how important it was for him to be around him, just from a how to be a pro standpoint, like how to be a pro, and like how you had to be there, you had to be the first person in the building, and how that was important from an optic standpoint, like the players and everybody in the building knowing that, like, the quarterback, the leader of the franchise, is the hardest worker in the building, and he's leading the way. Like, when that's not the case, then no one's going to take you serious, and it's going to be hard for you to lead that locker room. And that's the point that he was making for Anthony Richardson. Like, that's some of the things that he had to deal with early on in his career.
But that's not, you expect that out of, like you said, out of your players, out of your coaches, maybe even out of general manager. I don't expect that out of my owners, right? Like, people want it like both ways. Like, people want Mark Davis to not be involved at all, but to be, like, intimately involved in everything. Like, we don't want you to make any decisions. We want you to be hanging on the edge of your seat over. Like, bro, you can't have it both ways. You have to, what's my guy, Ron Popeil? You have to set it and forget it, right? I set this up this way, and hey, my hands are off until I'm needed to be involved, until I see it running off the tracks, something like that. Then I get involved. But can't expect me to live and die with every single move that the Raiders make. And we talk about Al Davis. Al Davis was too involved, too often, too much, especially at the end of his life. Like, when the game had clearly passed him by. That's why the Raiders haven't been good since the inception of free agency. Why? Because Al Davis didn't know how to operate under that model. He knew how to operate one way. And once the game changed, he can never adjust. So look at how when the Raiders were good and look at when the Raiders got bad. From 93 on, when free agency started, we've sucked ever since because Al Davis couldn't adjust to the new age. And until we have somebody that's just willing to, set it up correctly and leave it alone, we're never going to be good. Jerry Buss wasn't like, oh my, like, hanging on his seat. Jerry Buss was people know about I forgot the name of the club at the Forum, but like, he was kicking it I think it was the Forum Club, man. He was kicking it down there, or he was in the box with some baddie. Like, that's what Jerry Buss, the greatest sports owner in American sports history, right? More successful than any other sports owner there is. He set it up that way. Even Bob Kraft, he's somewhere getting massages that he's not supposed to be getting. He ain't worried about what the page. You feel me? So, like, that's what you have to do. Like, you don't just be involved like that. But people want Mark Davis to be that involved, but then not involved at all, and then say it's all his fault. But then he shouldn't have done anything. But then, man, you got to step in, Mark. But hey, we don't want you to make, like, bro, you can't have it both ways. And that's what a lot of people want to have it both ways. Like, is Mark Davis responsible for it? Yes, because he's the people hiring these people. So he needs to either figure out a new way to hire or do something different in that process. But then we don't want him to be we got mad when he was telling them not to trade Max. Well, then that's a move that ownership should be involved in, because that's a franchise player. That's memorabilia. That's marketing. That's of the face of your franchise type of guy. Technically, he should be involved in that. But when we heard he got involved in that, we was like, that's kind of nasty. We don't want him saying you shouldn't trade this guy. But, like, that's something the owner really does have say over. So we can't have it both ways.
No, I hear you. I think it's because the Raiders suck.
Exactly.
But it's not even just this season. They sucked
forever
for a long time. And we're specifically with Mark. But specifically with Mark Davis since he took over. Like, since they haven't been good, because we're talking about Mark Davis as an owner. We're not talking about prior to that. But yeah, this is something that predates Mark Davis. But then you can make an excuse for Al, like, well, he got old, and Al Davis was running the Raiders and there was no structure in place or whatever. But Al at least showed that he was a capable owner, more than capable owner. probably the most capable owner of all time. You know what I mean? From a football
in his
like
time, yes.
Yeah,
His time.
yeah, literally the Raiders. Like the whole mystique of the Raiders is because of Al Davis.
Oh yeah.
And how much they won during that time frame from, you know, like in the 70s and the, you know, the 80s. So he created that, and he was responsible for that. Like a big it's not even about hiring the right guys. Like literally he was picking the players. He was building the football team. He was the GM. Him and Ron Wolf were responsible for all that winning. But fast forward, we're talking about Mark Davis, and it's just been a long time since his time with the Raiders as an owner. Like, it just hasn't gone well at all. Yeah. Maybe a couple of years they went to the playoffs.
It hasn't gone well. We can't even look at it. It hasn't gone well, bro. We can't even look at that.
But nothing where you could look at it was some type of sustained
or
success.
sustainability. Yeah.
Yeah. So I understand what you're saying. Like, like they're being overly critical of Mark as far as like even him just being at the game and just laughing.
Look at him laughing. You see him? How can he's eating? How can he eat? The Raiders are losing. He's putting food in his mouth. He's breathing oxygen right now, guys. Can you believe this guy is breathing air? And at least just like, come on, dog. It's like,
but I do think that he should be held accountable for the Raiders also being trash.
Oh, yeah, like of course.
It's not just about like the coaches being bad and the GMs not being good. It's also like you play a hand into hiring these coaches. You play a hand in hiring these GMs. You play a hand in creating these power structures where you give John Gruden a 10-year contract, essentially making him the coach and GM, and then he picks his own GM, which we all know was just a front in Mike Mayock, you know, a yes man in Mike Mayock, and we know how that just didn't work out, right? And then obviously, you know, we can go on with the Josh McDaniels, Dave Ziegler. Like Mark didn't care about no damn Dave Ziegler. He wanted Josh McDaniels, and he probably asked him like, "Who do you want as a GM?" Dave Ziegler, okay, cool. You know, so we already knew what that situation was. So it's like Mark is responsible for these dynamics between these coaches and GMs, so we can hold him to that. And then, you know, it's everybody should, no one's above accountability. That's the main point.
Nobody.
No one's above accountability at the end of the day.
And if one thing you can say is that, one thing you can probably say about Mark, and part of it is probably due to Al. You can say, well, first of all, the success that Al Davis had previously is both a gift and a curse, because now our fan base, you know, it's the most unique fan base probably in all of professional sports. The Raiders are probably the most unique franchise in all of professional sports. We always say there's 31 NFL franchises and then 31 NFL teams, and then there's the Raiders. So we expect things to operate differently, but then we also expect, you know, the Raiders to
I called this out.
But yeah, we expect the Raiders to operate differently than every other franchise, but then we get mad that they're not like, you know, like conforming to how the NFL is nowadays. It's like, well, we have these like different expectations out of the Raiders franchises because, you know, like all the Raiders fans, they think the Raiders are like special and unique. So they want it to be different, but then to be successful in NFL, sometimes you have to do what other successful organizations are doing. So like they kind of want it both ways with that as well. So it's just like it's just a lot of contradictions, and then the fact that, you know, for years Al Davis has devalued the GM position so much that we never had one. So now Mark Davis is looking at it like, if you look at provable by both the John Gruden hire and the Josh McDaniels hire, where Mark Davis prioritized having a great coach, or what he thought would be a great coach, over what he thought would be a great GM. And he thought that, you know what, if he has a GM that's just good enough, the great coach will overcome that. And I think he thought he had that in both John Gruden and or Josh McDaniels. And you know, it's low key, it's the opposite. A great GM is going to make mediocre coaches look better than what they are because
Facts.
they're going to give them a whole bunch of talent. We're seeing that right now with Nick Sirianni, where is Nick Sirianni really that good? Maybe not, but you have so much talent on that team that you can overcome it. So, I think that's part of the reason. And I think he's starting to change his tune a little bit just because, see, the Spy Tech hire, he was one of the hot commodities and one of the up and coming GM names, and he didn't necessarily have any connection to Pete Carroll. So those two hires, they were kind of independent of each other, that's kind of a mistake. But at the same time, it's showing that, hey, you know what? I'm not letting my coach pick the GM. I'm going to hire a guy who I think is the best GM, and I'm going to hire a guy who I think is the best coach. Well, obviously Tom Brady did that, so it's not even really Mark, but but that was a strategy this year, I think, where they kind of siloed those off. I think we need to find a medium between the two, where it's not we're just hiring the coach and the GM or hiring the coach's GM because the coach wants the GM, and we're not. We have to. It has to be commingled. It has to be commingled. It can't just be siloed off, two separate things. Because those guys have to work together, and our relationship is the second most important relationship in an entire organization, next to the quarterback and head coach. So it has to work, and if it doesn't work, then you get the results that we're getting now.
He's still involved. He's still involved. I'm hoping that Tom Brady is. It's crazy for me to say that Tom Brady. Like who's Tom Brady? I mean, obviously he's one of the greatest. He's arguably the greatest quarterback of all time. But like Tom Brady, as far as an executive, he doesn't have any type of credibility. Like he hasn't proven to know how to put together a winning football team, even though he's been part of great football teams that have won Super Bowls. He's not been the guy, the main decision maker to do that. So there's question marks with him. And that falls on Mark too. If it doesn't work out, guess who that's going to fall on? By trusting a Tom Brady who you sold a part of the team in order to get him to be that guy where he can oversee the GM and the coach. So, and he said this. He literally said this to Baron Davis earlier in the season. This is my plan. This is what I want. So if this work, he said this, I'm going to be looked at as a genius. Like this is his diabolical plan. But my thing is that like, man, like just why are we trying to do things like unorthodox and doing weird things? Like what? There's a right way to do this. It's just go ahead and get a guy who, man, and we said this before, like, man, go get like a Howie Roseman and throw the bag at him. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it'll be possible, but like get someone who's experienced, who's had a lot of success as a GM, like a Ozzie Newsome, throw the bag and let him be the guy that's in the background, that's overseeing everything, and let the GM do what he needs to do and the coach be the coach and have that standard format of standard like power structure. Yeah. But for whatever reason, obviously, Mark, he's going to be, he likes the big names. He likes the John Grudens. He likes the bigger name guys. Like he hated Dennis Allen. As bad as Dennis Allen was as a coach for the Raiders, he wanted like, he likes those bigger name guys. And I think he was responsible for hiring Del Rio. I know that worked out, but Del Rio mostly worked out because of the talent. Yeah. The talent that was accumulated by McKenzie the previous 3-4 years, especially that 2014 draft. Which, that that 2014 draft was in their second year when Del Rio got in there, and we seen the step that Derek Carr took, the step that Khalil Mack took, the step that Gabe Jackson took, and everybody from that draft. Obviously, from the 2013 draft was Murray, the running back, Latavius Murray. So, like, a lot of the players that McKenzie was able to bring to the team. So, to your point about like, a good GM, a decent GM can make a mediocre coach look better because he's going to be able to bring in talent on that football team.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
But
yeah, I as you spoke about, man, like one of the things we said was, just don't try to reinvent the wheel, bro. Throw the bag at one of the best GMs in the NFL and make that guy the president of football operations. And I thought we were talking before the show, and I said that's what the Dodgers did with Andrew Friedman, right? Andrew Friedman was the general manager of the Tampa Bay Rays, and the Dodgers saw the potential there, and what they did was they hired Andrew Friedman as basically the 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 president of baseball operations essentially, and then he brought in Farhan Zaidi from the A's, who was like he was a great analytics guy, but he had some great success finding talent with the A's. Obviously, the A's were a team that would find the talent, they just couldn't keep the talent. Well, you partner, Andrew Friedman, his knowledge, his ability to find talent with the analytics, and Farhan Zahidi, his ability to find talent. Obviously, Andrew Friedman was an analytics guy too. He had this like great model he had, but he also understood the other side of baseball as well. And you partner all that with the deep pockets that the new Dodger ownership had, and then you expect some success. And the Dodgers immediately started having success. Now, if you get a guy like and not Andrew Freeman, but Howie Roseman, and you bring him over to the Raiders with the new facilities and Mark Davis basically sparing no expense for whatever head coach or whatever coordinators you want. That's a recipe for some success if you have a guy like that who already kind of knows what he's doing. So that's the route that I feel he should have gone. Obviously, he elected to go a different route. It remains to be seen if it will be a success. Thus far, it has not been, but it is this experiment is in its infancy, but it's not off to a great start.
yeah, we'll see, man. I'm still gonna be patient with the front office. I think with I just what I hope happens is that Spytek gets to pick his coach. Let him be a part of picking the next guy, a young guy that you could pair with him, not a guy who is his ego's through the roof like a Pete Carroll, who I think they probably empowered him to, there's a lot of different ways you could break it down, but it just wasn't a good fit. Like you could just if there's one thing that we can agree on, Spytek and Pete Carroll are not a good fit. That's the one thing we agree on. Now, can you also say, when you pay a guy $15 million a year, like literally top 5 head coach money, like you're getting paid, I think he's getting paid more or about the same as Sean McVay, who we feel like that's a top 3 coach in the NFL. And Pete Carroll's getting paid the same amount of money. So if you're getting paid that much, I'm sure you're also going to have a little bit more leeway as far as bringing players from the roster. And it's obvious some of the guys that they brought in, you can probably point to and be like, yeah, that's a Pete Carroll guy. You know what I mean? And we could argue.
It's basically damn near full control. It seems like it.
Exactly, bro. And that's why I want to get a younger coach in there, because now now everything can point to Spytek. Now Spytek can go in there and actually pick the guys that he wants on the roster. Not to take any way accountability from him. I'm not trying to do that. Like I said, no one is above accountability, but it's just a better fit, especially where the Raiders are headed to a rebuild, to get a younger guy in the building who's probably going to be on the same page and probably be a little bit more patient than a 75-year-old coach. So hopefully they go that route. But Justin the DJ says, if the team is in desperate need of a QB and the front office and head coach refuses to address that need early, Mark needs to step in and get active.
That's exactly my point. That illustrates it all right there, bro. That's exactly my point, because people want him to do something, but then if let's say oh man, we top 3, and they're hey, the GM and the new head coach are like, man, we got to go best player available. You know what? Arvell Reese might be there, Spencer Fano might be there, the tackle from Miami, who I always forget his name. He might be there. Hey, we gotta get one of these guys. These for sure guys. And then Mark Davis is like, nah, bro, we going Mendoza. We going, and if Mendoza is a bust, everybody like, man, Mark Davis, you should have never been. Why didn't you let your coach and your GM make the decision? And so, like, that's why I'm saying it's in a no-win situation, because if we don't get a quarterback, or if Mendoza wins and he turns into this really good quarterback, people are like, man, Mark, you should have forced their hand and made them get a quarterback. So he's in the lose situation. And like I always talk about, people and you can't blame them. People are results oriented. They don't look at processes and what went into something. They only look at the results. Like they'll look at a play, and play calling is the perfect example. It could be a great play. And several people have said, you know what, hey, players have been running wide open all season long. All season long. We've been opening holes for Genty all season long. If Genty doesn't hit the hole, is that the play caller's fault? Is that it was a bad play? No, just bad execution. But all people care about is black and white. Results or non-results. So if they don't see results, they look at play calling something that's easy to point to. Sometimes they'll point to the player, but a lot of times they're gonna say, "Oh man, it's a play calling. It's a play calling," and that's just what it is.
Yeah, no, I disagree with just another DJ, man. My guy DJ, man. It's the only reason because it's a slippery slope. Because if Mark gets lucky and is right, he will always think he's right, and he doesn't know what he's doing. And the reason why I can say confidently that he doesn't.
I don't agree with that. I don't think he wants always think he's right, because he said in the past Mark Davis has been open about his fact that he doesn't know a lot. He's also
That's
been
my
open.
point. That's my point.
He's also been open about his mistakes. He's not one of those dudes that won't say he made a mistake. He's admitted on several occasions he's made mistakes.
But the thing is that no. So this is my point with Mark. Okay, let's talk about that. He has says that, and that's what gives me like, oh, okay. He lulls you to sleep because he says the right things. He lulls you to sleep like, oh, okay. Mark is not coming off like a guy that is a know-it-all, and everything needs to be done his way, and he comes out real honest, like, oh yeah, I don't really know too much about the game. I'm not my father, and this and a third. But he's also made football decisions. And if you're talking about drafting a player, if you're talking about getting a certain player on the team and making football moves or making this move, then that's something that you just said that you don't know too much about. So if you don't know, like when you don't know something, you either learn or you hire someone to do the job. In Mark's case, he's hiring people, which is totally fine. That's basically 99.9% of the NFL. You know, like that's this. A lot of them hire coaches, they hire GMs to do the job. But the thing is that he's doing his problem is that he says the right things, but he's not following through on it. And I hope with this, with this Tom Brady thing, maybe, things could change a little bit, because Tom Brady's supposed to be the president of football operations. We all know he owns a certain percentage, but like I said earlier, Mark has come out and literally said his plan for Tom Brady is to oversee that football side of the building, which is the head coach and the GM. Now, I hope with the Tom Brady situation, it's not like a Al Davis situation with him where he feels like, let's do this, and he's behind the scenes trying to tinker and build this roster. I don't want that to happen. I want him to be a resource to Spytech. I want Spytech to be the guy. If he doesn't, Spytech is not the guy, then we get someone else in the building. But I don't want a guy like Brady who really doesn't have any proven track record to building a football team. So I'd rather him just be a resource to his GM, in this case Spytech. And when they have like big discussions about big moves, yeah, he could be part of the discussion. But at the end of the day, like, let Spytech do his job. That's literally, he's literally worked his whole career to get to this point. Like, why are we not relying on a guy like he's been training for this, but we're going to give it to a guy that's, who doesn't have any experience in building a football team. So that's the only part that I'm kind of like concerned about, but we don't know how that's going to work out. But with Mark, I just don't want him to be, I don't want him to make any football decisions. Like I don't know how anybody would disagree with that. And the only people that, and I've heard, some people be like, oh, he's the owner, he could do whatever he wants. Technically, that's true. Technically, that is true. He is the owner. He can do whatever he wants. But is that a good thing? Is that a good thing that if an owner comes out, if an owner feels like, hey, I'm an owner, I could do whatever I want, that's not going to end well. If you're a fan of the team, right? If you want to see winning football, you want to see, like, that sounds a little bit dysfunctional. You know, at the end of the day, like, if someone knows their strengths and weaknesses and knows what they're good at and what they're not good at, and in this case, Mark, who, like you said, came out and said, you know, he doesn't know the game like that, so he's going to rely on other people. Cool, that's fine. Let's stick to that. But I'm not sure if he stuck to that up until maybe this year. This year, you could make an argument, all right, Tom Brady is in the fold. They hired a hiring firm to gather all these head coach candidates. But you know how the hiring firm, you know how they made a pool of candidates for the franchise? They actually talked to the owner about by building a criteria what to look for. And one of the criteria is for sure experience. And that's how and but, that's how what the hell are we doing? Why are we hiring a 75-year-old coach?
Yeah. I mean, look. But that's gonna happen though. That's gonna happen. Like if you they're gonna ask you like what you because they need some kind of direction. Even with the hiring firm, they need some kind of direction. Like, hey, what are you looking for? Like, what qualities do you want in your coach?
Exactly.
So like they're gonna ask for some kind of direction. So like obviously he's the owner. You know, I'm sure Tom Brady was probably involved in that in that part as well. Where it's like, you know what, hey, what criteria do you want in your head coach? I think they got a little too overzealous with the experience. Obviously, Pete Carroll's been coaching since 71, literally since 1971. My mom was born in 67, so that lets you know like how long he's been coaching for, bro. My mom, the lady that brought me into this earth, is only 4 years old when Pete Carroll started coaching. Like, it's wild. So it's you know, but like. He's removed himself. That's what I'm saying. Like, people keep trying to bring him back into this thing. He's removed. If you want to point to everything that happened pre this year, hey, well and good. You can bring all that up. But this year, in the 2025, in the year of our Lord, he washed his hands of the shit. He was wearing pink wigs with his multiple championship player, MVP, defensive player of the year, GOAT, greatest woman of all time, basketball player. Like, he was doing that while, you know, Chip Kelly and Pete Carroll were arguing. And, you know, while Pete Carroll was hiring two of his sons on the offensive side of the ball. You know, like, that's what Mark was doing. Now people keep trying to drag him back into this. When he removed himself and said as much, I'm looking, he was actively looking for somebody to give it to. Actively looking for somebody to get into it. Obviously, there was some suggestions made, we'll get into that later, by somebody maybe he shouldn't be taking suggestions from, but there were some suggestions made about a person that could be a possibility, and he ran with that. And he's been trying to, and from the moment he said he wants to hire a president of football operations, it damn near to the day coincided with him trying to sell shares of the team to Tom Brady at a discounted price. That. So like it all lined up. So this was his plan. Whether you like the plan or not, that's your prerogative. But he had a plan in place. He identified a candidate who he thought fit the criteria, who he thought had the qualities and characteristics of somebody that could lead the Raiders into the future. He identified that person. He tried to sell that person a share of the team just to get them in the job, sell them shares of the team at a personal loss to himself, at a financial loss to himself. Tried to sell them shares. It was so bad that the NFL had to step in and say, yo, what the hell are you doing? We can't even let you do this. That's how much money he was willing to eat just to try to improve this team. So don't say like Mark Davis don't care or he's not doing all he can. Is he doing the right thing all the time? No, but he's trying. He's putting maximum effort. Now, good intentions don't mean a damn thing if you ain't getting results. But he don't ever question what he wants or what he desires because he's putting his money where his mouth is. He's done it on several occasions.
Man, yeah, it's like
you can't question that. You can't question that part.
Yeah, but I like it's like, are we A for? So what we're doing here, we're getting A for effort.
No, you're not getting an A for effort. But I'm saying you can't. No, people. No, that's the thing. People are questioning whether or not he cares about whether this team wins or not. If you can say he's bad at his job, cool. But don't question whether or not he cares if this team wins. He's doling out millions of dollars to several coaches and GMs at the same time. That's not the sign of somebody who doesn't care. The Clippers kept Elgin Baylor, by far the worst GM in the league, in the NBA, for years in that same role, despite season after season of terrible loss, because the owner didn't give a damn about winning. He only cared about using the Clippers as his personal plaything or a tax write-off. He didn't give a damn about actually winning. Mark Davis has done the opposite. He's paid several coaches, several GMs top dollar to do the thing that they haven't been able to do. So his effort is there. So you don't ever question his effort. The execution has not been there. You can talk about the execution or whether or not he knows what he's doing. Talk about that all you want, but people are acting like he don't care. Knock that off.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the execution. I'm talking about the execution because, and that's just holding like Mark accountable. You know what I mean? Like if we're being honest, yeah, we could talk about like the coaching and the talent based off, but who's firing these coaches who's firing these GMs after 1 year? You know what I mean? Like, how can you build talent when the guy that needs to be up to speed on the Raider roster is getting fired after 1 year? And especially where you can't even evaluate a GM after 1 year because the moves that he makes are going to be, you can't even evaluate it after 1 year because a draft class you can't really say is good or not after 3 years? You know what I mean? Just one draft class, right? So it's look, I agree with you. I don't like that other stuff as far as like if he wants the Raiders to be good. That from the outside looking in doesn't seem like I don't get that vibe, but it's just more the execution. The execution hasn't been there.
But not even that doesn't seem like. It's unequivocally not the case. Perfect example. You just made my case for me. Is a person that fires somebody after 1 year. Know what that tells me? That's not a person that's apathetic. That's not a person that doesn't care. That's a person that's too invested. That tells me you're too invested in the success of this team. So much so that you're looking for results faster than they can actually happen. And like I said, when you fire a guy, you're still paying them. Huh?
It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing, though.
It's not a good thing. Not a good thing. It's not a good thing at all to be too invested. Like I said it before. He operates this team like a fan of the team. Know why? Because he's a fan of the team. He's too invested. He's not operating.
That's what I said. That's what I said, bro. And
he's not operating it like. He's not operating the football, the business side of things. He operates like a business. The football side of thing, he operates like a fan when he should be operating it like a business. But he cares too much, and that's the problem. That's the issue. He cares too much.
And this is what gave me hope a few years ago when he had an interview and he said he needed to bring a president of football operations. At the time, I didn't know who that was going to be. But as time went on and we seen the moves happen behind the scenes, it was, Tom Brady. But the reason why that gave me a little hope is because it's putting even more distance from him and that football field, from him and that coach, from him and that GM. You know what I mean? That president of football operations role, whatever you want to call it, whatever Tom Brady is supposed to be doing in between that coach and GM, he's going to be that buffer. He's going to be that voice of reason in that room. So that's what and what it really comes down to is structure. That's really comes down to, because I think every owner is going to feel the way Mark feels. Like they're going to be, because it's their team. It's kind of hard. Like I'm not gonna argue about who cares more. But all I'm saying is, if you are invested into something, which every owner is in a sports team, and you actually want to win, which I'll say the majority of owners want to do. They want to win. They want to make money first and foremost. Let's get that out the way. But once you set that aside, like they're gonna like I would assume that they're like, yeah, you would want the team to win, but the good teams have a level of structure where the owner is not going to be that close to the coach and the GM, meaning that like Mark was going after every game in the locker room talking to head coach. John Gruden had to tell him like, yeah, that needed to stop. And he had respect for John Gruden to be like, okay, I'm not going to do that. But as soon as he got fired or, his whole situation ended, he went back to doing that. And I'm not sure if he did that this season or whatever. That might have, he might have stopped. I didn't hear that this season, but I just know in the past that was a issue. So it's like, even him doing that, it's like, man, what are you doing? Like, it's, and to your point, he cares, but I think Tom Brady coming into the fold gives me a level of hope just because it just gives that much separation from him and everybody else in that building. And hopefully it keeps increasing, because I do think that Mark should have expectations. I do think that Mark should evaluate, the GM and coach, but after a certain amount of time, like after whatever for a coach, maybe after 2 to 3 years, for a GM, after 3 to 4 years, whatever, however way you want to put that in. But he's evaluating after 1 year and like, oh, you got to go. But that tells you, that goes back to my original point about the power structure between a GM and head coach. He wasn't looking at it from like, let me hire a good GM and a good coach, and have him get a coach. He was looking at it like, let me get a good coach, and the GM was expendable. But you've seen how bad that was on the roster and on the team. It's bad enough when you fire a coach after 1 year. It's bad enough. But when you fire a GM, I think that it might be worse. It might be worse.
No. Or to play devil's advocate, or it could be this. This could be a reach. But this could be that all those years that Al Davis was running the team, in his twilight years, Mark Davis still felt the Raiders had a great GM. He still felt his dad was great at what he did. He just felt that he just kept hiring the wrong head coaches. And when he found the right head coach was when John Gruden. And that's when it worked with Al Davis still as the GM role. So he kept, maybe in his mind, he felt that, hey, you know what? We've had a great GM this whole time. What the Raiders have always missed was a great head coach. Or maybe he thought his dad wasn't a good GM, and that the one time they had a great head coach was with John Gruden, and John Gruden was able to make it work.
You know what's funny? Mark did try, and he got help. He got help with McKenzie, because I think he was, I don't know who helped him, someone referred. Was it Ron Wolf?
Ron Wolf and John Madden.
And John Madden helped him find a GM, and that was Reggie McKenzie.
Yeah.
But that was the last time that you can say, and it wasn't even the greatest job. It wasn't like unbelievable, but it was good enough where the Raiders were able to accumulate a talent, because he got McKenzie and he had him in there for like, at least 4, 5, 6. Wait, was he 2016, 2017? Like about 5 seasons?
Yeah,
5 seasons?
Like 5, yeah. Because I think he's spent 1 year with Gruden, or did he spend 2 years with Gruden?
Oh, 6 seasons. That's 6 seasons. Because 2018, he was with Gruden. I think he might have got let go in the 2018 season.
Maybe during
the season or something like that.
Yeah, because it's like the 2019 was Clee, right?
Yeah, 2019 was Mike Mayock.
Yeah, it was Clee.
Yeah. So that was like 6 seasons, but then you could probably say that during that time, that's where literally they were able to accumulate talent throughout that time, because they were able to keep a GM there, for a long period of time. So I think I think the Raiders need to go back to that, and hopefully they can do that with Spytek, because I don't even know why there's a question. I don't know why people are trying to entertain like, oh yeah, Spytek's job safe. Damn, bro. What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing, bro? Like,
people look at our free agency class, it was trash, but like I said, a lot of that was influenced by Pete Carroll. To look at our draft class, was trash. that was mostly Pete Carroll, but there were some Spy Tech and Brady influences in there as well. So they look at that like this is probably one of the worst free agency classes I've ever seen. This could be a generationally bad draft class, and we've had several. You think about that. Unfortunately, the Henry Ruggs draft class, where it's Henry Ruggs, Damon Arnett, Brian Edwards, Lynn Bowden, like that was a terrible. I think is that the year we got the kid from Clemson too, that went to Seattle with Pete. Forget his name. I think that might have been that same year. So it's like we've had some generationally bad draft classes, but if we aren't able to get at least like 2 guys out of this draft class to contribute, this will go down as one of the worst draft classes in Raider history as well. Especially you draft the running back at 6 in the deepest running back class of all time. If he doesn't turn out to be a stud, Jack Besh, if he doesn't turn out to be a good player, at least produce, like it's gonna go down as a terrible draft. I mean, it mostly hinges on Genty. So if Genty's good, or a really good NFL player, people will forget everything else. Like they'll forgive everything else. But if Genty is just like average or like less than that, then this draft class will be looked upon extremely poorly.
I don't know, man. I just feel like we need to give it more time. You know what I mean? We got to be more patient, especially because we know that you can't really judge a draft class until its third year.
Tanner Muse, who people said was a poor man's Isaiah Simmons when they drafted him.
Hey, Drake Thomas over there in Seattle balling. I don't know if you know that, bro. That's crazy. Yeah, remember undrafted free agent that we had in training camp? I forgot what year it was. Probably like a couple seasons ago.
Yeah,
he's balling right now. But
that's why. But yeah, we go good super chat. Shout out to my guy LS. Hit you with the horns when we get a chance. But MD biggest flaw is that he's too easily influenced, whether that be via the fans, the media, or guys like TB. Firing Telesco was a perfect example. I would say firing, I wouldn't say easily influenced by Tom Brady because he hired Tom Brady for that role. So I wouldn't even say like easily influenced by Tom Brady. Was he too easily influenced by the media and the fans? I think so. I think the Josh McDaniels firing is an example of that. I think the Antonio Pierce firing is an example of that. I think the Tom Telesco firing and possibly the Antonio Pierce firing, but for sure the Tom Telesco firing, that is all Tom Brady because we heard reports saying that Tom Telesco was going to be kept. And I think that was reports coming from people that were loyal to Mark Davis, people in the building who had probably, some Vinny Bonsignors and some Rajans, right? Like that. Those are probably people that were reporting that, right? Like, hey, Hall of Fame. Well, possibly future Hall of Fame point guard for the Boston Celtics. Like, hey, like he was speaking the truth, saying like Tom Telesco was going to be retained. I think that was the word. I think that was Mark Davis's feeling at that particular time, and I think that Tom Brady came in and said, "Not today," right? He said, "Not today," and then Tom Telesco was subsequently fired. So, but the other stuff, yeah, I agree. Because just a week before he fired Josh McDaniels, he was telling fans to smarten up. And then a week later, he was hearing the boos and the signs and all this stuff, and he decided to fire Josh McDaniels. So I think he is too easily influenced. But that's a fan. He's a fan.
Yeah. Exactly, and that's what I said the other day. I was like, man, Mark he needs to sit down, bro, because he a fan just like everybody else. And that goes back to my original point. Obviously, he's the owner of the team, but when we say fan, we're saying that's his, expertise is not going to be the same as a general manager. It's not going to be the same as a head coach. And that goes back to what we were saying earlier. He's just too close. When you're too close, you're going to make rash decisions. You're not going to make very informed decisions. You're not going to make good football decisions. You know what I mean? You're not even going to make, look, you know how I want the Raiders to be run? I want the Raiders to be run ruthlessly. Not like in a bad way, but in a very calculative way, like strategic way. That's what I want from the Raiders. Whether that's coming from Tom Brady, Spy Tech, whoever that's running the team. Like, I want it to the point where, like, and this, and we talked about this before, but like, you can make a point that, hey, Mark should have been like, you know what? This season's not going right. I know a lot of people going crazy with Josh McDaniels. Hindsight is 2020, but imagine if Josh would have still been the coach. They wouldn't have not won the amount of games that they won with AP. Like you could tell when AP was the head coach, they galvanized around him and they were able to win some games, which ended up him becoming the head coach for the following year. But imagine if they let McDaniels, the way it was going, the way the season was going, is similar to this season. In that, like, the team wasn't responding. They were just losing games. They're just finding ways to lose. Probably not as bad as this season from an offensive standpoint, but it was bad. It was bad. Offensively, it was bad. I mean, it was bad, but it was bad. It was tough. But what my point is that, like, if he was really calculative and really ruthless, he could have been like, you know what? This season's not going left. But you know what? We're going to go let this play out, and we're going to evaluate it at the end of the season. Most likely, he's probably going to be let go. But they're going to finish with a what? Yeah. A top 5 pick and a top five pick or top 3 pick in a Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, all these quarterbacks that went up in the top 10. Whatever quarterback you like was going to be available where the Raiders would have possibly picked instead of pick number 13, which, we got Brock Bowers, but a franchise quarterback ain't the same as a tight end.
Not the same, bro.
It's not the same.
And we see that clearly. We saw it clearly last year, but he was just so good that it's like you can't help it. But this year you see it even clearer where it's like, but no matter how good you are, bro, no matter how much you get open, you ain't got nobody giving you the ball. It don't matter. But the thing about that is that I said it at the time. See, like, I said it at the time. I'll start with this. I said it at the time where it's like, you know what? First of all, I need to keep Josh McDaniels just for optics. We can't fire this guy early. It's a bad look. And it's going to keep us from finding our next coach. And, and then even when AP was winning games, it's like, bro, we shouldn't be winning these games. It's like, man, well, who cares about winning these games? We need to keep AP because he's our guy at head coach. Then a year later, he's gone. So it's like that player we would have got in the top 5, we'd still have. But know what's another problem with Mark Davis is that Mark Davis is trying too hard. I think he wants Raider Nation to embrace him. He wants Raider Nation to, and he's never going to get the same level of adoration and adulation as his dad. But he wants to be loved by Raider Nation, so he's doing the things that he thinks will make Raider. And it's almost like a girl, right? Like the more attention you show a girl, and the more you try, and the harder you try, the more she gonna play you and play you off. And I'm good off you. Like, oh, that's cool, but it ain't good enough. The second you stop ignoring them, or you show them, oh, cool, I got options. I ain't worried about you. I ain't tripping. I'm fine. I'm good where I'm at. The second you start doing that, then they start playing like, oh, bitch, like they doing it now, right? Didn't nobody want Mark Davis? Perfect example. Didn't nobody want Mark Davis involved in nothing with football? Like Mark Davis, like, why are you making all these decisions? As soon as Mark Davis in the press box laughing with some little honeys, they're like, oh man, Mark Davis, why aren't you doing something with this team? Like, motherfucker, just last month you told me you don't want me involved. Now I'm here laughing with some chicks. I know I'm living my best life. Now all y'all want me involved. Okay, now y'all want me here. Before y'all didn't want me. Like, you can't have it both ways.
No, I agree. I agree on that part. That and like I said earlier, that's just the frustration of losing. It is what it is. Like, people, when a team loses, as much as the Raiders have been, people are going to criticize everything. Some fair, some are not going to be fair. You know what I mean? That probably goes into the unfair category. Like, just you can't criticize a guy for like laughing and smiling or whatever. It's taking it too far. But I will say, like I said earlier, no one's above accountability at the end of the day. But yeah, we got some super chats to address real quick. My guy Raider Smoke, man, appreciate you coming through. He says it's been a minute. Been busy with life and kids. Now it's all good. Just want to say you guys are a blessing. You guys are a blessing to all of us in Raider Nation. It ain't easy putting out content when we suck, but we appreciate you guys' hard work, man. Appreciate that, my guy, man. Appreciate you supporting the show, man.
Raider Smoke's a big boxing guy, man. He got two young killers coming up, man. So be y'all be on the lookout for from little guys, man. You know, I know he watched the fights, man. My boy, Bay Area native Debo Dev, took care of business.
Yeah. You probably tuned in this weekend. You probably tuned in this weekend, man. But Smoke, man, appreciate you coming through and supporting the show. My God, Cheeto Line is in the building.
Oh,
he says we've moved on from AP for this shit. Yeah,
man.
It's crazy, man. But like when people are like, oh man, we got a Super Bowl winning coach and da da da. But like, it's crazy. During the off season is when the Raider fans are probably the most positive.
Yeah,
and they don't want to hear anything negative. They don't even want to hear any valid criticisms. They don't even want to hear that. And the valid criticism when Pete Carroll got hired is obviously his age. His age, like, you know, the Raiders are doing something that no other team was willing to do in NFL history by hiring like, you know, it's funny, like the guys that were the oldest coach in NFL history was I think the last guy, it was Romeo Crennel. And the only reason why he was the oldest coach in NFL history was because he became an interim head coach. He was a defensive coordinator or an assistant at the very least on that coaching staff, became the interim head coach for the rest of the season at age 72 or 3, around there. And he retired immediately after the season, never to coach again. But the Raiders were like, we're going to make Pete Carroll day one, go into the season, super, like we're going to have Pete Carroll as a head coach, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. And it should tell you a lot that like how the NFL feels about hiring these guys, because Pete Carroll, like you said before, like who was going to give him a head coaching job? No one was trying to give Bill Belichick, the guy that's Bill Belichick. If you want to talk about Super Bowl wins, he has like 6 Super Bowl wins. Whether he had Tom Brady or not, he still was a part of winning those championships. Man, he had like six rings with Tom Brady. Yes, he had 6. Yeah, 6. He had Tom Brady had 7, and then I think he had 6. So
he had 6 as a head coach. That's not even including the ones he won as a defensive coordinator.
You see what I'm saying? And I heard that the Raiders are going to bring him for an interview until he.
They did. Oh. They asked about his buyout from North Carolina. So they was trying to hire an old ass head coach. They was determined to hire an old ass man. They was like determined. They caught the dude from up. They was like, bro, you free? Like it's that's.
The more I think about it, the more I think that Pete was more of a Mark Davis guy. And I know people are gonna be like, oh man, why are you criticizing Mark Davis? Because we know that Tom Brady went all out to go after Ben Johnson. Like that was his guy. Like, you know what I mean? The only reason why Ben Johnson accepted an interview was because of Tom Brady. And then we all know the whole situation with Stafford. Like that was his, even though like Stafford even considering the Raiders, what the heck? Like great decision. Why would you even leave the Rams to go to franchise at this point right now is dysfunctional and doesn't have anything to keep a guy like Stafford healthy. I mean, look at the offensive line. Like it would just have been a terrible situation. No way around it.
But I don't think that Pete Carroll is the reason why I don't, because we already see that Tom Brady was willing to go after Bill Belichick. That was clearly the Tom thing. So Tom wasn't worried about age in that situation either, because he was still. And I think that Pete Carroll is obviously a guy who he matched with in a Super Bowl. So I'm sure he had a level of respect for him as well. So he values people who he's competed against, or he thinks has a high IQ. And I can see him reaching out to a guy like Pete Carroll. Obviously, we speculated about Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly I said before, people always try to poo-poo on Chip Kelly, how he can't do anything in NFL. There were several teams in Chip Kelly's heyday that would reach out and have Chip Kelly come in during their training camp to advise them. One of those teams was the Patriots. A lot of that connection with Tom Brady. And there were several other teams that did that as well. So, it's one of those things where like that's why people made that connection between him and Tom Brady as well.
Yeah, man. it's going to be interesting, man. The way this season is going to end, by the end of the season, like how the Raiders move forward. It feels like they're probably going to move away from Pete Carroll. But, once that happens, if that happens, there's a good chance it's going to happen. Like how they handle the coaching search. Like, is there a little bit of realistic, like, okay, let's get back to the drawing board. Let's be honest about the situation. We were telling the fans last couple years, this is not a rebuild, it's a reload. You know what I mean? Chip Kelly's words, I've won 10 games. How many times? I've won 9 games. How many times? Of course we're going to win 10 games. Like, at different points, like he's talked about how much he's won with his teams in Seattle. So now it's time to go, all right, you know what? We know that this is a rebuilding. We know that this team needs an infusion in talent. Who is going to come in that fits in with this long-term plan? That's a younger coach, right? Okay. What younger coach fits that? All right. Can we get an offensive-minded coach? It's going to be tough. We'll try. But last offseason told us a lot. Like the offensive-minded coaches didn't even want to have an interview with the Raiders outside of Ben Johnson, who was trying to be respectful to Tom Brady. Monken was requested. We didn't hear nothing after that. That was a respectful decline. Liam Cohen, I'm sure, was like, don't even try it. Like, and
Ben Johnson said, don't even try it. And we still,
but it feels like there's a lot more options this offseason, though. I'll say that. I feel like there's a lot more younger options. Just like, all right, Joe Brady's a candidate. Clint Kubiak is a candidate. Who else am I forgetting? Brian Flores, the Chris Shula, defensive coordinator. I know you like Mike LaFleur off OC from the Rams. There's a few younger options. I didn't feel like last offseason, it just felt like there's not a lot of younger options. Ben Johnson, and it was just like a little drop off. Todd Monken might be an option again, but I don't know.
See, but like all these guys, except with the exception of Chris Shula, but all these guys were like guys last year. like these guys didn't just like poof into existence. Like this wasn't like like undoing the snap where all these people were like non-existent before and they're back. Like there were options before. Mike LaFleur was a guy I said last year before we hired Pete Carroll. They were all there to be hired. We just elected not to do it. And and so like, and this year, know what the difference between this year and last year? Like there are some other jobs that are gonna be open or could potentially be open that people can look at and say, that's more attractive than your job. Like how much they like Tennessee. Like, hey, Tennessee, it depends on how you feel about Cam Ward. If you like Cam Ward as a prospect, that's a more attractive job than the Raiders job. Jackson Dart, that's automatically way more attractive than the Raiders because you got a guy you for sure think is going to be a franchise guy. There's been speculation about Sean McDermott in Buffalo. If he doesn't get over the hump or make a run to the Super Bowl, could they say, hey, you know what, you've run your course here? A la Andy Reid with the Eagles, and he went to a Super Bowl. Like, could they boot Sean McDermott out? If so, that job automatically jumps to the top of the list. So there's going to be, even though there are like quote unquote conceivable more names out there, and I think part of that is by virtue of there not being a clear-cut number one. Ben Johnson was just a clear-cut number one, so the other names you didn't really pay attention to or you didn't care as much about. But this year, like, because all those guys were like, Michael Ford was a guy I already like named before. Like Kubiak maybe wasn't a head coaching prospect, but there was people talked about. Like they were still around. Just that Ben Johnson was a clear-cut number one guy.
They're around, but they weren't like there wasn't a buzz around them. There wasn't like any type of momentum of them being a head coach candidate. Like I think teams probably wanted to see another year of just like, okay, this unit is good. Like for example, Chris Shula, you look at the Rams defense, it's a whole bunch of, got like, they got some talent on there, but it's like he's doing a great job there. He's been there since 2017, really close with, with Sean McVay. Like it could be, there's something there, there's something to that. And that brings me to my other point is that I think, shout out to Taj. Let me just address this super chat real quick. My guy Taj, man. He says Pete Carroll isn't a good coach. I never like to hire. Yeah, man. It is what it is, man. The Raiders made their bed with it. Yeah, we got another one real quick, man. Appreciate the super chat, Taj. And then we got LS, man. Appreciate the super chat. He says, let me ask you both a question. Do you see us winning a Super Bowl within the next 10 years? If not, that's 25 years as owner with nothing to show for it. 10 years is a long time, bro. I mean, they have a shot. They have a shot at right now, like, but it's obviously crazy to say that right now because the Raiders are trash. But what I'm saying is that, like, if you give them like what, a 2 to 3 year window to build the roster up, and then even longer, you know what I mean? Depending on, like, also they have to hit on a quarterback too. That's another thing too. They got to have a quarterback, or if they don't have a top 5 quarterback, having a top maybe 10 to 12-ish quarterback, but the roster got to be legit. You got to have one of the most talented roster, which is possible if they hit on, if Spytek can, if they got to stick with a GM, whoever it is. If it's Spytek, you got to give him some time, let him stack some talent. If it's not him, then obviously they're going to have to move on from him. But like 10 years is a long time for me to say no. Yeah. So I think they have a shot. They just got to do it. At the end of the day, it's one thing to say they have a chance, but it's another thing to execute it. So,
yeah, I mean,
but I see your point though.
There's some good franchises that went like long stretches without winning Super Bowls, right? Like when the last time the Bills ain't even been to one since like the early '90s. You feel me? So it's like, but in the '90s they were going to like Super Bowl, like they went to 4 and 3 in a row, 4 in a row, I think, and Jim Kelly. So I mean, they whipped our ass in the playoffs twice, I think. Yeah. So it's I think that's when that was the last time we was that the last time? I think that was the last time we went to the playoffs. Our shell. Or that was all downhill from there. I think that's
like
when
80,
I think that's
89,
when we got it.
90?
No, it was like 92, 93. We got our ass whipped by the Bills, I want to say. And I don't remember if it's a divisional or if the second round. But we got our ass whipped by the Bills. Like they whipped our ass. I think that was the last time. Like that was right when free agency started. And we ain't been good since. But like you can go a long time without winning. So it's like it's not even about winning this. Well, it is about winning the Super Bowl. I'd like to see us win one in my lifetime, but like that's not necessarily the mark of whether or not you're a good owner, because like there's some good owners that just aren't going to win it, because there's so much parity in the NFL and it's like so difficult to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I just want to see a talented football team, man. I'll just bring my expectations really low. Like, yeah, I want to win. I want the Raiders to win a Super Bowl, and I want to see that. But I want to see a great football team. Like, I haven't seen that in a while. Like I'm talking about top to like I'm talking about the roster from top to bottom. You got talent everywhere, and it got to start in the trenches. Hopefully they prioritize that this offseason. I want to see a great offensive line. I want to see a great defensive line. I want to see some playmakers, and that's going to just take time. And hopefully, Spytek can put together some good drafts, some good off seasons, free agency. I think this off season should be like, there's no way they don't prioritize like the offensive line and just the trenches overall. Like, there's no way, especially the way the O-line has played this season. And we can talk about it. I mean, in just a second, we'll get into we'll just real quick, just get into this weekend and how bad it was looking, how the Browns just came in and just kind of not surprisingly dominated. I mean, like one of the best defenses in the league right now. But real quick, let me address some super chats here. Taj again with the super chat.
Two in a row.
My guy, he says Raiders should hire Rams OC Mike LaFleur for head coach. Yes, I mean, it's an option. I like him more as an OC. I like him more as an OC option. I'm not gonna lie, because
that's not gonna happen. Sean McVay's not gonna. The Rams aren't gonna allow that to happen. That's the problem. Like it has to be a promotion. It has to be a promotion. And just going from like OC to play caller OC, it's still the same. Still the same. So
and all right, so this is my criteria for the Raiders coaches. I want them to be young first-time coaches. Like, let's not bring in a guy that's not going to be on the same page with Spytech. Let him get a guy that's. I'm not saying pick anybody, but I'm just saying like get a coach with some potential, whether that's Clint Kubiak, which I don't think that's going to happen. Chris Shula, possible. You know what I mean? I think the Raiders have a better chance with defensive coaches than offensive coaches, so they might have a shot right there. The only reason why I'm saying we shouldn't, not that we shouldn't go after guys who've been coaches before, which doesn't mean that they're not going to be successful. There's plenty of examples of those guys being successful. I just feel like where the Raiders are at in building their football team, I think the other guys are going to feel a lot more pressure to win now because it's like their second go around and they don't want to mess it up.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like Brian Flores, you already know his situation. Like he doesn't want to go to a situation that's going to not prioritize winning right out the gate. And I know fans want to win right off the gate. Let's be real though. The Raiders need to build this roster and not mess it up. Let's do it the right way. Let's not take any shortcuts. So let's not, and taking a shortcut can happen with a coach like a Pete Carroll or a coach like a Brian Flores or a Robert Saleh, who was a guy that the Raiders were interested last offseason, where they promised him, like, I think they wanted to become a defensive coordinator under Pete Carroll and said, like, hey, you're going to be the next guy up. Like, you're going to be the guy that takes the, you know, that head coach mantle from Pete Carroll, which he obviously passed on. But he was interviewing for head coaching spot. So he wanted to be a head coach, but he wasn't going to take that risk to become a defensive coordinator with some of these other teams outside of San Francisco. So, but my point is that they need to, in my opinion, I think where they need to go is just a first time coach, offensive or defensive, because they just need it. I don't want to be in a situation like this season where Pete Carroll is having a hard time putting young players out in the field. Like, come on, bro. Like, what are we doing? You're just wasting away like valuable snaps. They're not gonna get. They're gonna we're not that they're never gonna get. It's just it's just a waste of. You're just wasting valuable snaps. Like, these guys can go out there and they can get some experience. And it's just, and that's one of the biggest things with Pete Carroll. Because Pete Carroll, to be honest with you, I wouldn't even have been mad if he stayed, but it's just, he's not. Because right now, the biggest problem right now with the team is that they don't have a lot of talent. They don't have a quarterback. That's like it's
been a problem.
but like, it's been a problem, but. So whoever is there at head coach, they're probably not going to win a lot of games. There's a good chance. True. Because of that reason alone. So that's why I'm like, I wouldn't be mad with Pete Carroll. It's just he's just not, like, as much as the Raiders, I think they viewed him as a guy that's going to build the culture and, you know, set the foundation. He doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to do that, man. He's not a part of that program. So that's my thing with the next Raider head coach. I think a first-time coach would fit perfectly. Please do. You said, hey, again with the super chat. He says, please do Cowboy fans a favor and hire Eberflus as head coach.
Hell no. Whew. He's already done. He's already tried that with the Bears and it failed miserably. Yeah. But do you feel where I'm coming from? Like a first-time young coach. Yeah, but that's why I was saying before. That's why I was saying Mike LaFleur last year.
I'm not mad at that either. I wouldn't be. I'm not like against it. I'm just like, I think Shula could come with Mike LaFleur.
That's not going to. The Rams are not going to allow both their coordinators to leave. It's not going to happen. And like, as much as we don't think Sean McVay values Mike LaFleur, I don't think that's the case. Because I think he even gave up play calling duties this year, if I recall correctly, or he gave up some duties to Mike LaFleur this year that he didn't necessarily have before. So, like, I don't think that's going to happen with both of them come. That's why I say it's easier to hire a guy like Mike LaFleur and find a defensive coordinator or position coach on that team than it is to hire a defensive coach and then find a great offensive mind that's going to stay. No, because as we always know, those guys that get poached, and then we're back kind of square one again. What we're gonna have to do is that's why I pointed out Mike LaFleur, because you're gonna have to get in on the ground floor on some of these people. As you said, you know what, these guys, some of these guys didn't have buzz around them. Sometimes you got to get in early with a guy that doesn't necessarily have buzz at that time, but you could have buzz in the future. And if you get in on a guy early, sometimes you be like, okay, cool. Well, we got him before he was a hot commodity. Because Sean McVay, people wasn't a whole bunch of buzz around Sean McVay when he got hired that I recall. He was, I don't even think he had never been a coordinator to that point, if I recall correctly. Or maybe no, I don't even know if you remember him being a coordinator. He was a position coach for forever. So you got to find those guys like that.
Yeah. And this is where Spytech and maybe, Brady also helping out with the them identifying the next head coach is going to help a little bit better, because maybe they can identify those coaches a little bit better than maybe a Mark Davis, who was basically the guy that was deciding who would be the head coach. And the guys that he was deciding were the obvious guys, the bigger names. So he wouldn't be like Mark. It's not in his skill set to identify the diamond in the rough. Oh man, this QB coach from, whatever team is I think he could be a good head coach. He's not going to be that guy, to do that. He's the guy that's going to Pete Carroll, Jim Harbaugh, guys that have the big name, that have the resume. Those are guys that he's going to identify really quickly. Even Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels was able to build up his name in the NFL with winning all those Super Bowls as an offensive coordinator under Tom Brady. And some could argue that was probably a chess move to bring in Tom Brady, but that's a whole different, conversation. But we'll see. I think a first-year GM would be first-year coach would be a perfect fit for where the Raiders are at, if we're being honest. But if you really want to do it, I know my guy Leo's Robert Saleh, what? He's Robert Saleh. I think Robert Saleh is one of the best defensive-minded coaches in the NFL. I do also think that with him, chestnut checkers, right? I think he could bring in one of the coaches from Shanahan's coaching tree, or from Sean McVay's coaching tree. He had Mike I think Mike LaFleur or Matt LaFleur was his offensive coordinator with the Jets.
Probably maybe Mike early.
Yeah, the same offensive coordinator for the Rams right now was his offensive. Mike, yeah. So it was Mike. So Mike LaFleur was his offensive coordinator with the Jets. What happened there was, the owner forced their hand and drafted the quarterback in Zach Wilson. And when that didn't work out, someone had to take the fall, and it
was Mike LaFleur.
As we
said, he had Mike White balling. The games Mike White played, he put up back-to-back 400-yard games.
And then after that, it was the Aaron Rodgers show, and that was a disaster. It was a disaster because Aaron Rodgers comes in with a lot of I want my offensive coordinator, meaning that he wants to run the show on offense, and he gets hurt, and then we see Nathaniel Hackett for a season, which is disgusting. We all know he's just not the greatest OC, but yeah, man, he didn't want to. Saleh did not want to let go LaFleur. It was just politics at the end of the day, which, as a Raider fan, you should know good and well. But man, we appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to click and hit that like button, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell. Let's move it on, man. We kind of went in on the Mark Davis and all that stuff, but this weekend.
We got some supers.
We got some more. Oh, okay, let me go address some more. Man, we appreciate it. My guy Leo in the building, man. Appreciate the super chat. He says only one coach can save us that hair club for men president, my boy. Only one coach can save us that hair club for men president, my boy, my coach Marcus Freeman. But let him get that natty first.
That Mr. Stu Polish from South Bend himself. Marcus Freeman, but he's a defensive coach though.
I wouldn't be mad at that though. That would be That would be like
coach from college though.
I know. That's yeah. That would be a very like ambitious hire, but I wouldn't be mad at it though. I wouldn't be Marcus Free.
I wouldn't necessarily be mad at right now since we're trash. Like you can swing for the fences. I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be super mad
because he's a young guy. Coach. He's a young guy.
Outside the box thinking with that one. I wouldn't hate it, but like if it goes bad though, it's one of those moves where if it goes bad, everybody's gonna criticize you for it. Because like a defensive minded coach coming from college, I can't think of the last time that's happened where a defensive minded head coach came from a college ranks and had some success.
I know he's not a defensive mind technically, but he has he kind of is though. Jim Harbaugh.
He's not a defensive mind, but he's an ex-quarterback.
I know he's an ex-quarterback, but he prioritizes like running the football, offensive line, and defense. That's his.
Yeah, but that's because he was.
His MO.
That's because even though he was like a high,
he's not a
pick,
play caller.
He was kind of trash. Yeah, he was trying to trash as a player. So he was like not trash, but he wasn't like a great player. So that's the kind of what he kind of. And he played in what? He played for Chicago. So it's like, you playing in a winning city in Soldier Field, you got to have defense and run the ball. So that's what he saw as success. And then with Stanford, obviously, he wasn't going to get a whole bunch of good skill players because it's difficult. So like he had to prioritize like guys in the trenches. Usually those guys are smarter, guys in the trenches. So that's kind of what he had to prioritize was that. So that's how we figured out.
San Francisco.
Yeah, but I'm saying like that's what he kind of prioritized. Like when he was at Stanford, at San Diego State, you're not going to get like high level recruits there. So you got to do your work in the trenches because the skill players, they're going to go to like the big name schools. Like they're going to go there. So, until you really start winning, like he didn't get Christian McCaffrey until he started winning. I think he had Toby Gerhardt, if I remember correctly. Might have been the guy before him, but I think he had Toby Gerhardt. But like he wasn't no high level recruit like that. So like that's how we learned how to win early on. So he just kept that formula, and it's very duplicatable because the trenches and no matter what league you're in, if you can win the battle of the defensive line and the offensive line, you're usually going to win games.
Yeah, and the reason why I was like, because he's not a play caller. He's not a play caller. He's more of like a CEO type coach. But what he does do, I'll give him credit. He identifies good coordinators.
I'm tripping. You know what? Oh well, it's this. I forgot all about. I don't know how I forgot about this guy when talking about defensive coaches coming from college to the NFL. Who was the last guy to have success? Very close to home.
Oh, Pete Carroll.
Yep.
But Pete though he was in the pros before college.
Exactly. Yeah, and he's the same type. He's a CEO. He's a CEO type coach as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean he well
he's supposed to be
with that because he had Patrick Graham on the sideline. He's like, that's all that we could go on and on about Pete Carroll, but it is risky. It is risky. I'm not saying it's not, but I just think that like I wouldn't be mad at it. It's like, damn, you're swinging big, but you're swinging big on a young coach. And if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, then after like a couple seasons, 2 3 years or whatever, then after the roster has built up talent, the next guy is gonna be able to take that, which will be probably a better coaching candidate or more experience or whatever the case may be. But yeah, man. Last Sunday, man, the Raiders, obviously they lose. They went down early, 14-0. The final score was 24-10, but they were down 14-0 to start the game. I was like, man, it was game over. Yeah, when I seen 14-0, I was like, bro, they lost. They lost. What did you think of Shador? What do you think how he looked?
I think he did solid for his first real start. Obviously, he could have had a much better day. Jerry Jeudy had that boneheaded play.
What is he doing?
They really, they kept taking him out the game near the goal line. I think he probably could have had a touchdown run, possibly another touchdown pass had they actually let him execute it in the red zone. But they kept using a wildcat with Quinshine, which it worked. So you can't get too mad at it. But his day could have looked a lot better had they given him those opportunities down there. But I think it was solid, for his first start. I think during the telecast they said the Browns hadn't had a play over 50 yards like the entire season. I think I read somewhere on X where they hadn't even attempted a pass over 25 yards the entire season too, I want to say, for a long time, or completed a pass over 25 yards the entire season for a long time. And Shador had 2 on Sunday. So I mean, I obviously one was kind of running back did all the work, but he had that other one where it's a nice rollout and people question his arm strength. Well, he was rolling to his right, throwing on a run, and he delivered a strike. Something that Geno had several opportunities to do and couldn't do. So I think it was a good debut, man. Obviously, you get the W, man. That's what's most important.
Yeah, he looked solid. I mean, he looked like a rookie to me. He looked solid, but it's just the Raiders was just so bad on offense. It didn't really matter what the Raiders did on defense, to be honest with you. At times they were getting pressure, but there are times that they had some blown coverage. I mean, like that Samson touchdown, Dylan Sampson touchdown, where he threw the screen and they took all the way. That was just terrible. Like, I don't know, whatever.
That was Lonnie Johnson, bro.
Oh, he got shook bad. Like he froze him. Like I don't know if he didn't know what he was gonna do or he didn't see it coming or because the way he just was stuck. Like he just he got caught by surprise how fast he was.
I think that might be part of it.
Yeah, it is what it is. But it's just the offensive line, man. Like they couldn't overcome the Cleveland Browns defensive line, and that was like a big storyline going into it. It was like Myles Garrett, he's on a record setting pace. He might. Yeah. He's a good chance he's gonna break that Michael Strahan sack record because I think right now he's at 18 sacks. But see, and it's crazy, man. That Mason Graham pick helped out Myles Garrett so much. And just overall their depth at defensive tackle, and that's what the Raiders need to do. They need to find a way to find some complementary players for Max to unlock them even more. And that right now, I know you got your boy Adam Butler, but
he's not like those level. Well, he's like he's a Malik Collins level player. He's like a Shelby Harris level player now.
Like a role player. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's a good pass rusher as a D tackle, and that's it. He's not like a superstar. He's like, oh man, that guy's a good pass rusher. But that's what he is.
But they can easily take a defensive tackle. Early.
Yeah.
If it's a special enough guy like that has, that pass rush ability as well as stopping the run, like they can easily take a guy. Bro, they could do that, and it would.
Carter.
And they did have like a guy that was supposed to be one of the better defensive tackles, but that's a whole different conversation. And how that situation literally was the beginning of the end of this season, the Christian Wilkins situation. Which we don't even know what's the end of that. Like, I think we won't know until like next season. Because I think he's
which I said, because people were like, oh, no, we're going to find it. So at first, some people were saying we're going to find out quickly. But I was like, nah, usually this stuff takes a little while for it to happen. But the Raiders going to end up losing that, bro. They Raiders going to end up losing that appeal. So depending on why they said, because like I said, Pete Carroll's own words are going to be used against him.
Yeah. We'll see. And they're talking about it too. I believe they're talking about that, the fact that they're probably going to look at those earlier offseason interviews of him saying all that. So, I mean, it is what it is. Was it Mike Florio? Was it Mike Florio talking about? Mike Florio he's hella into like, I think wasn't he a lawyer or something like that? Was he a lawyer, former lawyer or something like that? He's into stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's into like, the politics and things and like, when players appeal things, like he's into that type of stuff. And I think he went into detail on the whole situation, and he was saying that there's a chance that Christian Wilkins has a good case to win it.
Yeah. He said this recently?
He said it at the time. He didn't. Damn,
okay, I was saying that. But that's what I was saying at the time, bro. Like as soon as I clipped the interview, I'm like, bro, he's saying like, oh yeah, man, Christian's doing everything he can to get back, and we respect. Like as soon as he said that, bro, it's open and shut case, bro. Like you can't. It's open and shut
case, Johnson. Yeah.
Yes, open and shut case, Johnson. Apparently, this Negro broke in the house.
Left pictures of his family.
They're everywhere. Sprinkle some crack on it. Let's just say he was a homosexual and cut him.
Oh man.
That's what they did. It was like, damn, how are we gonna get out of this one, Tom? Because he's gay. Let's get him out of here. Say he's gay and get him out of here.
Severe, man. You a wild man. Oh man. Chappelle's classic, bro. He's classic. Man. Chat is dying. But yeah, man. So as far as the game, it wasn't surprising at the end of the day, but I surprisingly be picking them to win these games. One of these games, hopefully they win. And the reason why I say hopefully, I don't think I've broken this out yet, because I know this is probably going to be a very unpopular opinion. This is a very unpopular opinion that I haven't broken out yet. And I've told a couple people. I might as well do it now. I might as well do it now, so then later I could be like, I told you so. I really want the Raiders to go BPA. Like, that's how I really feel about this draft, especially at the top of the class with the quarterbacks. I'd rather the Raiders go BPA. And the only way I feel like that will happen is if they're somewhere in the top 10, but not if they're in the top 3. I can see Mark and just the pressure of the fan base forcing the pick to be. I mean, I hope Spytek has enough balls to be like, nope, I'm taking Arvo Reese. You know what I mean? With a number, you know what I mean? It's gonna be a tough pick. It's gonna be a tough call to do, especially with the amount of pressure that will be not on Arvo Reese, but just on the GM to pass on a quarterback or to. See, I mean, I ain't gonna lie. Like, I would have. You know how much I would respect Spytek if he was at, let's say if they were pick number 3 and someone came trying to trade up, and he got like 2 first-round picks and an extra. Yeah. You know, because there's going to be a quarterback on the board, and someone's going to fall in love with that quarterback,
like the Browns did.
And then the Raiders double up on talent, and they get a quarterback like not in the first round, but like maybe like in the second or third. And the reason why I say that, because the Raiders just the talent on the team, and I'm going to get a lot of heat for that, because everybody's going to be like, well, the Raiders don't have a quarterback, and you can't just pass on quarterbacks and yada yada and this, that, and the third. But I just don't feel great about the guys at the top. But I do like some of the guys in the second, third round range where you could bet on their traits and develop in them. I'm like, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't stop the Raiders from drafting a quarterback the following year, which is a better quarterback class. So I'm just looking at it from that perspective. But yeah, because if you draft a guy in the first, you're basically you're not going to draft a quarterback in the following year. You're not going to do that. You can't. And if you you can't trade up too. You can't even, like, for the people who are like, oh, we can trade up into the first and draft a quarterback. No, you can't even do that, because if you trade up into the first, you essentially also stop yourself from drafting a quarterback the following year, which is the Archie Manning draft, or the quarterback from Notre Dame, Dante Moore report.
I think CJ Carr I think he has one more year after this year, I want to say.
Oh, so he's not 2027? He's not coming out?
Is it maybe? Oh no, he's a redshirt. He's a redshirt freshman, so yeah, it's 2027. I think he's a redshirt freshman, so it's 2027.
Yeah,
he should.
So the CJ Carrs, Archie Mannings, I mean, if Sellers stays, I think he should stay. I think if he goes to a good program like Miami or whatever, he could put some good tape out there. He could be a guy that like is gonna possibly go high. I don't think he comes out this year. I think he comes out like probably the following year. That's another guy. Like there's a lot more. The Dante Moores. I know that you're a big Dante Moore guy. There's a lot of reports saying that Oregon is gonna throw him the bag, NIL bag, and have him come back a second year, or have him come back again for another year. We'll see.
He just signed a fresh NIL deal with somebody not that long ago too, like a few days ago.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. There's a lot of things that we don't like. If Dante Moore does kind of keep. It's a little.
He's crazy. He's crazy. If he doesn't come out this year, he's crazy, bro. He's crazy. Same thing with Sellers, bro.
Yeah.
Those dudes go back to school, bro. You got to strike while the iron hot, bro. If you're gonna be a top 10 quarterback, bro, you gotta. Especially this year, so many teams need him.
I know, but I think with Sellers, I think his situation where he just, is not having a great year. The team is just like up and down. Like offensive line is terrible. It's just like, all right, imagine he could. It's a lot of it has to do with him betting on himself, and then NIL kind of makes it kind of more interesting in that like, you'll get paid, a certain amount of money, come back another year, play with a better you gotta be strategic. Bet on yourself and go to that's what I'm saying with him. If he goes to a better college, like I feel like he'll look a little bit better.
That's true, but it makes sense if you
he'll raise
if you aren't going to be a top 10 pick though. If you're not going to be top, if you think you're not going to be a top 10 pick, that makes sense. But I think if those guys come out, there's so many QB needy teams in this draft that those guys going to get picked. They're going to get picked, man. So it's like, and Sellers is young. I think the NFL loves him. I think the Dante Moore is going to be top 5-ish for sure, damn near. So it's like, it's so, and somebody, if a team, if their team's going, a team will move up for Dante Moore. Would they move up for Lenore Sellers? Maybe not, but they'll move up for Dante Moore. So it's like, I don't know. You got to strike while iron is hot because you never know what's going to happen. Look at Carson Beck. Look at Quinn Ewers, right? Two guys who I said were trash and at the time, but they both opted to go back to school, and it cost them dearly. Especially Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers took a pay cut coming to the NFL from Texas. If he would have left, when his name had some buzz on it, he would have been a higher pick. I think was he UDFA? How much he might have been in UDFA.
Joe says going cheap on QB is a quick way to get fired. I mean, also another way to get fired is picking a first round bust at QB. You know what I mean? Or a guy that's not good enough. Like, they can get fired a lot of different ways, man. At the end of the day, they got to trust their eyes. They got to trust their gut, and they got to build the football team how they see fit. So I'm just a fan of the game, and I'm looking at it from the outside looking in. Obviously, Spytek and those guys, they have their own plans on how they're going to. I feel like the Raiders should go best player available, trade down, stock up on picks, just go a different route. There's quarterbacks that I like, but not enough where I would draft them in the first round, maybe not even the second round, but like starting in the second round though. Second round, maybe third round, and then fourth. Like though, there are guys that I like personally, and then you could draft them, let them sit for a season. Maybe they play a little bit that first year, but even though if the Raiders finish with another bad record the following year, and they're somewhere in the top 5, I have no problem if that regime goes and be like, you know what, CJ Carr, you know what, fill in the blank top quarterback. They go ahead and draft him. I have no problem with that because it's not going to stop the team from doing that. Like a 4th rounder or a 3rd rounder, maybe a 2nd rounder, possibly. Maybe a 2nd round possibly could stop them, but I'm not gonna lie. Like the Saints right now, right? Saints are
could.
It could
But
possibly. Not enough though.
could, yeah, not if you get a top guy, not worried about it. You put a trigger and you try to, and you have two guys, and if one of those guys separates themselves, then you have either a long-term backup or you have a valuable trade chip you can move for another pick in the future. So I mean, and like this year drafting a quarterback, I don't want the Raiders, like obviously we all want the Raiders to draft a quarterback in the first round, but I don't want them to draft a quarterback for the sake of drafting a quarterback. If it's a guy that they don't wholeheartedly believe is the franchise quarterback or the future franchise quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders, don't do it. Don't do it because you feel pressed into doing it. Do it because you have unquivering, unshakable faith that this guy can lead your franchise to where you want it to be. So, like, I want a quarterback. We all want a quarterback. I talk about all the time. I've been saying the past 2 years that you look at the teams in the playoffs, like you generally 95% of the teams that make the playoffs have first round picks playing the quarterback position. Now, they aren't always the first round picks of that franchise. Sometimes they've come from other franchises. Obviously, Daniel Jones is going to be an example this year. Baker Mayfield is another guy. Matthew Stafford is an example as well, like first round picks. Jared Goff is another example as well. First round picks that came from another team to this new team and led that team to success. But those guys are usually first round picks. Like very rarely are they not. So like you kind of got to get them in the first round. And that's not necessarily a virtue of only talented quarterbacks get selected in the first round, but it's a virtue of that the need pushes lesser talented quarterbacks into the first round sometimes. So it's like it's a little bit of a double-edged sword there because it's such a valuable position. Sometimes guys get overdrafted, but it is what it is. Like the first round seems to produce the guys that get the job done.
Yeah. So yeah, if the Raiders are bought into a guy and they do their due diligence, obviously they'll probably start. I would hope they're starting the process. They started that process like months ago. I mean, hopefully they're evaluating that quarterback spot in the draft. So we'll see. And a lot of it too, some of these guys we don't know who's going to come out. And just one last thing on the Sellers thing, I'm not gonna lie, Sellers scares me a little bit. I got Anthony Richardson PTSD, man. So that's another thing too. And I think he's a more polished. I think he's a more polished prospect than Anthony Richardson coming out, but he still has some like inconsistencies where you be like his accuracy is kind of like I don't know if it's like super consistent. But I mean the talent he has the big arm. He's the traits quarterback too. Big, strong, tough, mobile. I mean, who do you compare him to from skill set wise? I don't think he's like Anthony Richardson though. I think Anthony Richardson was like way more explosive, but he's still like he's like a I don't know. Like I think some people compared him like to Culpepper.
Yeah, I was gonna say Ben Roethlisberger, but more athletic. But Culpepper is
because he's physical. He's physical.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like Ben Roethlisberger was more athletic but he's way more athletic than Ben.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But
got crazy.
But he's not Cam. He's not as dynamic as Cam Newton. But yeah, so like I said, like big, like I was saying, like big, maybe like like the year Carson Wentz was balling with the good Carson Wentz, a good version of Carson Wentz.
Okay, like big, strong QB, strong arm quarterback.
Yeah, mobile too.
Man. Yeah, man. But would you guys take a swing on Nussmeier and a third or fourth? That's just disgusting. I would be waiting for the Raiders to draft a QB. I don't know why I know, and then I know guys who are big on it. I think my guy Marcus. I know he's a Nussmeier. Marcus from Take Don't Lies. He likes him. He likes
Marcus likes traits. He likes traits, guys. But the thing about Nussmeier is his dad is a QB coach in the league.
I do too.
His dad is a QB coach in the league.
Okay. I do too. Like I like the Brendan Sorsbys. I know A lot of people are down on Drew Allard, but man, Drew Allard in the 4th round, I'd do it. I'd do Drew Allard in the 4th round. But you would have to sit him for a couple of seasons or whatever, or a season or however long or whatever. And to your point too,
you probably got to take him in the 3rd though. Now I think about it, you might have to take him in the 3rd, maybe even higher, because there's so many QB needy teams, bro. And there's so many teams that are gonna be thinking that same thing. Like, man, and they're in much better. They're teams that are in much better position to do it than us. Like the Cardinals can say, "Hey, you know what? We'll take Drew Allard in the 3rd and play another year with Kyler." Like, will the fans be happy? No. But like, if we see Geno starting week 1, it'll be all out mutiny in the Raider Nation. Like, I don't think it'll be the same level of disdain if Kyler Murray gets another year.
This is probably going to tell you a lot of what the Raiders are going to do. If the Raiders go with like because they're obviously, if Pete Carroll gets fired, Geno's gone.
Oh, for sure.
So Geno's gone, right? Okay, boom, he's gone. Now that leaves them with who? They got Kenny Pickett, who's also a free agent, so he's gone. So who's under contract?
Damn, Kenny Pickett's a free agent. We traded a 5th round pick for a free agent backup. That's fucking stupid.
That was dumb.
I hope that wasn't Spy Tech. I hope that wasn't Spy Tech.
And I didn't like that. I didn't like that move. I'm gonna put that on Spy Tech. That was retarded. That was dumb. You know what I mean? So I just like, because look, if you look at it from this perspective, man, because it's just he forced it because look, he talks about how much he values draft picks, but you're gonna give a 5th round pick to a guy on an expiring contract and who might not see the field. I know he's a backup quarterback, but
he was hurt at the time when we traded for him too. That's another thing.
Yeah,
he was injured at the time of the trade.
Yeah. That's on Spy Tech, man. I'm gonna put on Spy Tech. I could put that on maybe Pete, maybe wanting, but then Pete doesn't even want to put him on the field. So how am I like, what the hell? I don't even know what's going on. It's just a weird. It's hard for me to even like look like it's Spy Tech. Everybody saying Spy Tech. Yeah, man, I'm putting that Spy Tech, man. That was bad. And I don't even like Kenny Pickett. Yeah, I don't even like Kenny Pickett, bro. You already know how I feel about Kenny Pickett.
I don't either. Man. I hated Kenny Pickett. That's why I was like he's the guy that didn't want to compete in Pittsburgh. Like, well, how you gonna bring him to the but we figured out all that compete nonsense was BS anyway. So I guess it made sense.
But real quick, what I was gonna say, we're gonna move it on real quick because we've been chopping it up on this topic, but it's all good. No, I was just gonna say the way the Raiders address the quarterback position is gonna in free agency and maybe trades is going to tell you a lot on how they're gonna address the quarterback position in the draft. So obviously, if they have a top 3 pick and they sign, let's say, I don't know, like one of these backup free agent QBs. You know, I think I was looking at them right now, 2025. I think Malik Willis is a backup. I think Malik Willis is a free agent QB. I don't know how you feel about that. I mean, it ain't the greatest, but like he's shown up in spots for the Packers.
For Green Bay, he's played pretty solid when he's gotten opportunities with Green Bay. I can't even lie. He's played solid, and he's still like I thought he had been in the league much longer. When we looked it up, I think he's only like a 3rd, 4th year, something like that. I thought he'd been in the league like a long time, but not even that long.
I said 2025, 26. All right. So Daniel Jones, he's obviously gonna stay with the Colts. Aaron Rodgers, pass. Russell Wilson, pass. But let's say they go with Marcus Mariota, right? Marcus Mariota is a free agent. They're for sure drafting a quarterback in the 1st round. No doubt about it. You know what I mean? Like if that's their like free agent, if that's their veteran QB. Now, if they trade for a QB, they trade for fill in the blank QB, because there's no other like free agent QB they can sign. Daniel Jones he's gonna stay with the Colts. I don't see him leaving the Colts. Aaron Rodgers, who knows what he wants to do, but I'm cool. That's just a weird. I don't think it's a good fit. Joe Flacco, the guy that never ages. I mean, he's gonna be 40, 41, 42 years old, 41 years old.
They said the same thing about Pete Carroll. He gonna get here, he gonna get here and get old to the motherfucker fast, like Pete did.
I don't mind Joe Flacco to be in that quarterback room, but like, he's not a guy that you can say, oh, he's gonna be your projected starter. Like, there's no way you could do that. Like a 41-year-old quarterback, like there's no way. You're like, I'm going into the season. Unless you're Kevin Stefanski. Exactly. Yep. For sure. But yeah, I'm looking at the quarterback class it's pretty ugly, to be honest with you. If anything, the Raiders would have to trade for a guy if they're gonna go BPA. If they're gonna go BPA and then maybe draft a guy in the second or third, because then you could at least have whoever that veteran that you have as a quarterback, you'd be like, okay, he's gonna hold down the fort. And then, like, maybe they compete in training camp, but we're not going to put pressure on this young guy to contribute early on. But if it's a Marcus Mariota, if it's a Zach Wilson, if it's a Tyrod Taylor, if it's a Joe Flacco, if it's a Carson Wentz, Malik Willis, Gardner Minshew, Sam Howell, like, if there's any of these guys get signed and get picked up, the Raiders they're picking. They're trading up. They might even trade up and try to get like a Mendoza or a Simpson, and those are the two guys that we can see. We can get. I know Tyler. I know Simpson can come back a year, but he's old. He's an older quarterback, so he's not going to want to come back a year older, and then that next draft is going to have a few quarterbacks. Like, what is he going to be, like the 6th, 7th quarterback taken? Like, he could be actually the second guy, maybe even first guy.
Yeah.
So that's just a little preview into the Raiders offseason. But that being said, we appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Man, y'all talking about Steve McNair in the chat, bringing all the way back.
They're saying that's Lenore Sellers' game is like Steve McNair.
Ooh.
Steve McNair, man, I can't even compare that. Steve McNair got drafted with top 5 from a Division II. That's how crazy he was, man. He got drafted top 5 out of a Division II school.
They're talking about the talent, though. They're talking about the talent. And Steve McNair, when you think about his mobility, he was physical.
He was physical, but Lenore Sellers is athletic too. But Steve McNair is much better as a thrower, though.
Okay, that's I mean, I guess fair right now. I mean, where he's at. But I think he had a great arm though. Sellers got a great arm.
It's strong arm.
Yeah, strong arm.
Yeah.
Kyle Trask. I know that's like a Spy Tech connection because he was in Tampa Bay. Is he a free agent? I don't think he's a free agent.
He was free agent this past year, I think.
They might trade for him. Damn, they really trade for Kenny Pickett, man.
That's crazy, right? Think about it now. We said at the time it was a bad idea, but now it's just in hindsight it looks even worse. Especially since you're so unwilling to play him, even though Geno's been trash, you still don't want to let him touch the field.
I think that's the worst move of the offseason. Like Alex Kappa, I know a lot of people point to that one. But that one is one of those like they got someone that they knew, but they really didn't invest too much into him or whatever. I could easily just whatever, you know what I mean. That's not a guy that they penciled in as a starter, but according to Pete, he was competing with JPJ. That's just. But the 5th pick is unforgivable. The 5th pick for Kenny Pickett. That's
Capital was trash too though. That's $11.5 million. That was trash. That was a trash signing too. But that's like 11. That's a trash signing. Think about Caleb Chase is making like 3.5 with the Patriots, balling. Like, we gave up the opportunity to bring a guy like that back because we wanted to bring in Alex Kappa.
I know. And to me, that just goes to like new regimes come in, and that's what happens when you constantly are like getting rid of these coaches and GMs. These players, some of these players that you feel like should be signed, they let them go because they're not their guys. They're not their guys, or for whatever reason are. Some of the guys they bring back, but not all of the guys. Like I know Kuntz was a guy that they brought back, but they didn't bring back back the other guys. And that was like, you can make an argument they brought back the wrong guy, with Kuntz. Yeah. But with Kuntz, it wasn't a huge investment. It was a 1-year deal, kind of a prove it deal. And obviously, but I can see Kuntz getting better though. Like by next season, I think he could.
I can too.
Because it's just the nature of like, ACL injuries. A lot of athletes, they're not like 100%. They don't 100% get their explosives back until like after 2 years from the injury, 2 years away.
Yeah,
but
like I was a big supporter of Kuntz, so I'm not gonna lie. Like before he got injured, I was trying to give him a long-term deal. Obviously, he got hurt, and that kind of threw a wrench in everything. But I think next year might be like I think somebody else is going to benefit from his recovery. I don't think we'll bring him back, and that's unfortunate.
We still not. Everybody should be held accountable. Everybody should be held accountable. So we just got done blaming them on the Kenny Pickett move. Spytek didn't sign. Okay, yeah, just talking about Chase Young. Yeah. That's one of those moves. Like, we'll see, man. I'm the way I'm looking at it. I'm not gonna be stuck on one move, one off season with a GM, bro. Like a lot of the GMs, you don't see a lot of their moves come together. Like when you give them like a good amount of time, like let him, especially in the Raiders situation where he's coming to a pretty much talentless team. You got a couple of players here and there, but like when you look at this team and you compare them to the NFL, you're like, man, it just feels like a talent disparity when they play against certain teams. So you got to give them time to stack talent, whether it's the draft. I think this free agency, I think he's going to be more aggressive. I mean, he has to be. I mean, he has like over $100 million in cap space. So hopefully he identifies some offensive line talent. I know there's a couple of guys out there. I know, we'll see. But because we
were second in cap space this past season, and what do we really have to show for it, right?
Well, he prioritized like re-signing certain guys. So where did the money go to? The money went to, where did he spend money? I should say, Max,
Colton, and Geno.
Those are two important positions that he tried to prioritize.
It's three important positions, but
the three,
yeah.
But it's three, but
what? And AJ Cole, our best player. I will say that he did lock up our best player. You
see what I'm saying? Like he's being smart, but then sometimes when you're being smart, people are not. Sometimes being smart on face value is not going to show up until later down the road. Yeah. So we won't. So that's why I want to wait with Spytek, but with Pete Carroll, we can actually, and we shouldn't do this with every coach, but with Pete, like we said before, a lot of the reasons why we want Pete is just his age and the fact that he can't get with the program, that this is a rebuild, and he's just, and then hiring his sons. Oh man, there's a few things. Joe says Malik Willis is a great QB. I mean, he's a free agent. I don't know.
Great.
He says very, very underrated. Very underrated. But I'm not going to lie, like, Green Bay has had a history where backup QBs come in and play well, and then they go somewhere else. You know what I mean? Shout out, what's the quarterback that was backing up Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers back in the day?
Matt Flynn.
And Matt Flynn was getting like 5-6 touchdowns. Like he was actually like serving when he used to come into the game.
Matt Flynn got Pete Carroll, then he got us. He could double dip and we could double dip and Malik Willis could just do what Matt Flynn did over the course of a few years in one offseason.
It's Crazy. It's crazy. Hold up. Did McKenzie pick him up? I think McKenzie might have picked him.
McKenzie, yeah. I think we had Matt Flynn and Matt Schaub. It might have been the same time. We had Matt Flynn and Matt Schaub at the same time, I think.
Oh, and then we drafted Derek Carr?
Yeah.
Beautiful. That's how I want the Raiders to draft. That's how the Raiders want to address when you don't have the quarterback on the roster, you got to find multiple answers, and hopefully one sticks. So that's nice, but let's keep it pushing. Let's get to flag on the play. You already know what time it is, man.
Personal foul, 69, offense. He was giving them the business.
All right, man. What we got, Severe, man? First flag on the play, man.
First flag on the play, man. It's actually something you brought to my attention, man. I think you have a little bit more details about it, but we spent a lot of time talking about Mark Davis and Tom Brady, and who's really running the Raiders and who's involved with everything, and former Raider president Amy Trask, she had some very interesting things to say about somebody that's not necessarily a Raider employee that has some major pull in a Raider organization.
Oh, is this a soundbite?
No. I'm talking about it's from the article. Obviously, yeah. But this actually was a soundbite from her, I believe, her podcast that she does. But that being said, that it's what was the name of the Jim Gray? Jim Gray. Yeah, I need more information, man. I'm not gonna lie. I need more context, because she said she was basically pointing all the issues off the field that's affecting the entire franchise onto one guy. And that's a guy's name that we've heard here and there just because he's been in the same circles as Mark Davis and Tom Brady. But it was interesting to hear her say that she said that he's been trying to buy the Raiders since Al Davis was the owner, like a piece of the Raiders. And now I guess he made that a reality, especially with he might have been part of the Tom Brady, buying ownership group. Yeah, he might have been part of that group. Oh man, like we did hear before, he was like an advisor. I did hear about him in an advisory role. Might have been around the time we did the AP thing, I believe. Maybe when we hired AP.
Yeah, I've heard stuff like that. It's just, stuff like that is just yeah. It's hard. It's hard to hear, man. Stuff like that, man. I'm not gonna lie, because it's just another reason stopping the Raiders from being good. Like, why? What is his role? What is he doing? Like, I need more information. I want to go in on it, but it's just I don't know a lot. But I will say that if what she's saying is true, it's definitely a flag on the play, on the Raiders, on Mark Davis for even allowing it. Yeah, man. What can you possibly think that he's doing behind the scenes that's affecting the team? You think it might have been hiring? Well, she said that Pete Carroll is a great coach. So
yeah, that's what I told you. Well, as soon as that's why I finished. That's why I was gonna let you do most of the talking, because I got through the article, and as soon as I read the part where it says, "And Pete Carroll's a great coach," I instantly stopped. I was like, "I'm done with you, lady. I'm cool off you forever. I don't really want to hear none of this." But what could Jim Gray be doing? We kind of been saying, and you even more so, that Mark is kind of naive, or he's very trusting, and he's so, I think he's so eager to find football people or not. And Jim Gray's not even a football person, but just like people in sports, people who know about sports, who's been around sports. He's so eager to find these guys, and he has a trust for these like wise old sages. Damn. That's kind of what with Ken Herrock, Ryan Wolf, John Madden. Like, he loves these old white dudes. He loves old white men telling him what to do. It's a daddy complex, right? He loves old white guys telling him what to do. So he let Jim, and so if he has a trust for Jim Gray, and obviously Jim Gray he's very articulate. He's been talking as a profession for decades, so he's going to be able to sell what he's saying. So Mark Davis hears all this stuff and he's like, okay, like, yeah, sounds good to me. And there it is. Like his influence could just be, just have just the ability to suggest. It's like almost like, I don't want to get into politics, but almost like when like Donald Trump, his first term, he had Steve Bannon, and Steve Bannon kind of like, he's very articulate, and he comes off very intelligently. And you have a guy that's stepping into kind of a new world that he's never really been in before. And you have a guy that's experienced. He talks the talk and he walks the walk, and he has the friends and the networking. So you hear him saying some stuff and you're like, well damn, man, that sounds like a good ass idea. And then you let him kind of give him more influence than he might necessarily should have.
Yeah, man. I'm hoping this is not true. I'm hoping that this is not that it's not true, just maybe a overstatement, or maybe she's just trying to create some buzz on her podcast. And because how would she know that? Does she still have people in the building that she knows that's telling her this? Is this well known around the league? Yeah, I don't know. And the thing is too, he just bought the team. Like he just became one of he's a minority owner at the end of the day. So what influence does he have as a minority owner? Like none. Mark can easily be like, just sit down and stay right there and stay quiet. Like, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, and he just became owner. So at the end of the day, so it's kind of like, I don't, that's why I say I want to see more information of how he's affecting the off field, everything in that building that's affecting everything on the football field. What does that even actually mean? And then she's complimentary about Mark Davis, Tom Brady, and Pete Carroll, guys that we're holding accountable for the Raiders. So she I don't know, maybe she has something against Jim Gray. I don't know. I'm hoping it's a personal vendetta between her and Jim Gray. That's what I'm hoping, man. Because
possibly.
If he really is a problem, man, damn, man.
See, but the problem. See, the problem with it is that the old saying is perception is reality. Mm-hmm. So he could have nothing at all to do with anything, but if you move in such a way where it gives the people the perception that it is true, then it's true. And that's all it takes. People believe, like with Chip Kelly's perfect example. People believe Chip Kelly had all this influence and all this say over everything because they paid him $6 million. So the perception was that, oh man, he had full control over everything. But then you hear that Pete Carroll's getting paid $15 million. And then you see both of his sons on the offensive staff, and you're like, okay, well, who really had all the control in the situation? Was the guy making 15 or the guy making 6? Now, you're 6, you're the highest paid coordinator, okay. But now you're kind of the guy, he's one of the highest paid coaches in the NFL. Like, who has more say there? So, like, but from the outside looking in, people will see, oh, man, $6 million? Oh, he's running everything. He's the highest paid coordinator of all time. He got to be running everything. Yeah. And, so that's the perception. So everything, everything you see happening you're going to feed into that perception that you already kind of have. And so now her planting this seed where it's like Jim Gray is this boogeyman. He's kind of the dark hand behind the scenes. And, if people start to, if it starts to look that way, or, that perception gets out there, then people might start believing it. And that could be a Tom Brady thing. Tom Brady is a guy that seems to not want to have any accountability for anything that's going on, even though people that are close to Tom Brady are reporting otherwise.
Yeah, I think, the Jim Gray situation, when I heard that, I was just like, man, not another. Like, Raiders always got some weird stuff going on. But I was going to say something about not Jim Gray, but like I think to me, just from the outside looking in, from when we're talking about totem pole of power, I would think obviously Mark, he is the majority owner of the team. And then obviously I would probably put Tom Brady number 2 because he's empowering Tom Brady to be a big influence on decisions within that building. So Tom. And then underrated is the owners that no one really are talking about, minority owners that bought into the Raiders, not Tom Brady and Jim Gray, but another ownership group.
Yeah, that Egon and Melman.
They got heavy pockets, you know what I mean? A lot of money, which they might have a little bit more say or power in that building. From a money standpoint, like they're going to be, you know, so like, for example, shout out to my guy, Ray. He brought this point up to him. I got to give him credit to this, where he was like, man, it's no accident that they were able to come into the building, and then they hired Chip Kelly, one of the highest, they were able to hire Chip Kelly at one of the highest paid, I think the highest paid assistant of all time at $6 million a year.
Of all time,
So maybe that's the value of bringing in these new owners, because they're going to bring in a lot of money and they could probably help out. Maybe you don't know what the deal is with them and how they can help, with bringing in free agents or bringing in coaches, because you can pay them more. Yeah, you can offer them more.
Well, see, I brought this up at the time when it happened, right? The genius of it is that one of the guys, he's in real estate development, right? He has he made a lot off his money, all of his money, or a lot of his money, like during like golf courses and things of that nature, like resorts and stuff like that. Like that's where he made a lot of his money. And the other guy, he has one of the companies he was on the board for, under their umbrella was a sports agency, right? That represented a lot of players in the NFL. So like, not only do you build the relationship with the real estate development side, where, hey, if you want to do some Raider themed real estate stuff, you kind of have an in there, but you got a person that has a relationship with these agents. He kind of has an in there, but the main thing is that, like, Mark didn't have to do that to afford Pete Carroll or Chip Kelly. He didn't have to do it, but what it does do is it gives you more liquidity, because obviously all his wealth is tied up into the valuation of the Raiders. So if you need some money, like on cash on hand, you can sell shares of the team, and that's money that turns from, hey, this is not actually liquid money, it's just tied up in an asset, to now it's actually money in my account. Because what a lot of these dudes do, a lot of rich people in general do, is that people don't know about, is that rich people don't live off their own money, because that, like, you'd have to pay a lot of income taxes, and that's why most of their money is tied up in investments, because they don't pay income tax if it's an investment. They pay capital gains tax, which is much lower. But what a lot of them also do is they just live off loans, and the interest on a loan a lot of time is going to be less than what income tax is. So they'll just take out a fat ass loan, live off that loan, and then they can write that loan off against their taxes too sometimes. So it's like, that's what rich people do. That's why they're rich, and we're not. So that's why the rich people are getting way richer and the poor people are getting way poor. But it is what it is at this point. But so like, if you want to just he could take out a loan against the value of the Raiders if he wanted to do that. Raiders have went from $700 million to $7 billion. So anywhere between $7 and $8 billion they're valued at. So if you want to take a loan against that for like $100 million, like an institution will do that, because they know he's good for it. And if not, they have an asset that they can kind of, that's collateral.
We got cooking here, man. Make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. We appreciate coming through. We're not done yet, man. We got another flag on the play. And what's the second flag, Severe?
Second flag is that, hey, once a Raider, always a Raider. And once you're a Raider, one team you do hate is the 49ers.
Yeah.
And former safety Trevon Merrick, he showed just how much he hates the 49ers on Sunday, or was it Monday? On Monday night, rather.
So we're not gonna play the actual clip. It's a little too graphic for this show. But just know that Morrig went down low, man. He went down low, and Jennings wasn't having it because after the game, like he wanted to. I think he did he give him a. Did he slap him in the head or like I forgot? I think
he hit him after the game. He did.
He hit him after the game, and then like he had to be restrained, and everybody was like, "What happened? What happened?" And then like there's cameras everywhere, so they were able to pinpoint the moment that Merrick basically hit him down low, and he got him good too because he had a cast. He had a cast.
Clean, a smooth uppercut, bro. Direct hit.
But he did it with the uppercut with a cast, bro.
Yeah.
What a cast. That's a weapon of mass destruction there. Like
exactly,
that's wild, man. And shout out to Michael Irvin. He posed this question today. He says, what's more disrespectful? Players spitting on you with obviously
spitting.
The season spitting or
spitting.
A player just
I don't care what spitting. You ain't got to finish, bro. Outside of somebody like urinating on you, spitting is the most disrespectful thing they can do to you, bro. That's
yeah. Both are disrespectful. Just to put that out there, both are disrespectful. But yeah, spitting is like, man, you just don't, man. There's no respect at all. He definitely.
Yeah, as Red Away said, bro. He definitely gave him the business.
Hey, man.
Personal foul, 69, offense. He was giving them the business.
Yeah, they're definitely giving them business for sure. No doubt about it, man. But yeah, flag on a play on Trayvon Morrig. Do we have any honorable mentions? I feel like we had some honorable mentions, man. I'm forgetting.
Honorable mentions. We had a few in the chat, but some aren't necessarily football related. We had the Lloyd falling down. That was hilarious.
Lloyd falling down. Yeah, that was hella goofy.
I mean, we didn't talk about it beforehand, but I guess depending on how you want to look at it, the whole Geno thing. I have my thoughts on there. I have my thoughts on it, but a lot of people would throw a flag on that. I have my personal feelings about it, though.
So Josh DeBow, you know how he has stats and he has stats for days. He put out since 2017, the Raiders have fired a coordinator, head coach, or GM outside of 2 years.
Yeah, the 2019 was 1 year, right?
So 2017, if y'all remember him, defensive coordinator Ken Norton Jr. 2018, Reggie McKenzie. McKenzie did get fired during the season. 2019, no one was fired. 2020, Paul Gunther was fired. 2021, John Gruden was obviously, we all know that situation. He was let go. 2022, no one was fired. But 2023, we all know McDaniels, Dave Ziegler, Mike Lombardi.
Mick Lombardi.
Mick Lombardi, yeah. Mick Lombardi, Dave Ziegler, and Josh McDaniels are fired in 2023. Last year, we all know Lou Getsy gets fired. And Lou Getsy and the offensive line coach.
And James Craig.
James Craig was also fired. And then
wonder
obviously
this year. I wonder why we can do that this year. That's interesting, right?
Bruh, facts, man. Hey, if your last name Carroll, man, you safe, man, until the end of the season. So Lou Getsy and James Craig last year got fired, and then obviously this year, Chip Kelly and special teams coordinator Tom McMahon, which we didn't really talk about too much. Chip Kelly got fired. I'm sure a lot of people heard that already. So we didn't have to get in too much. We weren't really. I mean, it's not surprising at the end of the day. I wasn't really too surprised. For me, it's just. Yeah, it's just offense is just too bad. Like it's been. Like I said, man. Part of the reason why I went into the season with low expectations was obviously because the team, the totality of the team, and just the talent the teams that they have to play against, their schedule. I'm like, I don't feel like the Raiders are going to be good this season. But the fact is that the Raiders were lower than my expectations. And on top of that, I thought the offense was going to be a little bit better, improved from the year before, and they weren't. They're actually worse. Yeah. How are you worse and the Raiders had what? Ritter, Minshew, and AOC at quarterback the previous year.
Yeah.
How are we worse? How are the Raiders worse? That's
Zamir White at running. Zamir White and Alexander Madison and Sincere McCormick and Amir Abdullah at running back.
And who was wide receivers? I mean, Myers,
for most of the year it was Jacoby and
Trey, and then a whole bunch of
other,
hell of a people that we don't have to even talk about. You know what I mean? It's just, but the Raiders were worse this year than last year, especially with the quarterback play being as bad as it was. Obviously, you mentioned the running back, the running back room, the way it was, and Jetty coming with a lot of hype, him being drafted at number 6, running game not being improved really. I mean, slightly, if not just not enough where you'll notice it. And, hey, Chip Kelly's part of that reason too as well. So he was just the first guy to go. But to be honest with you, it's just a sign of more to come, be honest with you. At the end of the season, I think the Raiders are going to go to different direction. And for a second, I thought maybe they're going to bring Pete Carroll back just because of, his Pete Carroll. They're probably not going to want to fire another coach after 1 year. But Pete's just been so bad. And the fact that, like, he's not on the same page with Spytek, I think is going to be a good enough reason for him to go. So, yes, that's kind of my take on the whole Chip Kelly situation. Is like, I wasn't surprised, but we all know that, like, it shouldn't stop there.
Yeah. I should have continued. Like the thing that was, and this is why I say what I say, right? Our entire offense has been bad. Our running backs have underperformed. Quarterbacks have underperformed. Offensive line has been atrocious. Tight ends have underperformed, outside of 2 games, right? Mm-hmm. And we have all these issues on offense, and 2 guys get fired, right? So the Raiders made a decision. You know what? Whatever Chip Kelly was doing, whatever is associated with Chip Kelly, we're going to get rid of. And that resulted in the grand total of 2 people being fired. Chip Kelly and 1 offensive assistant, low-level offensive assistant. So that lets you know who hired his entire staff. It was Chip Kelly got hired, and he was allowed to hire 1 guy, Big Nail. And both of those guys got fired. So when they were clearing house and ridding themselves of all things Chip Kelly, it only took 2 guys. And that lets you know that if you start out like that, those are going to be the results.
Hey, I got to remind everybody, man. I want to remind everybody because we got to do this. Because the reason why I have to do this is because we were receiving a lot of hate for saying this early on. We criticized the Pete Carroll hire. We criticized the Brendan Carroll hire. Yep. Where everybody's all like, oh, man, you guys are hating. Y'all being overcritical and da-da-da-da. And we had valid reasons of why, we were kind of surprised that he would hire his own son at offensive line, a very important position on a football team. And on top of that, a valid question was, what happens if it doesn't go well this season at offensive line? Like, are you going to consider firing your own son? If not, then that's a conflict of interest. You're hurting the football team more than you're helping. Because if it was anybody else, you'll be open to firing an assistant coach. Because we just found out with Chip Kelly was fired because he wasn't doing what he needed to do in order to keep his job. The special teams coordinator was also fired. But for some reason, Brendan Carroll's still coaching the offensive line. And the offensive line has been terrible. And there's been a lot, perfect example of someone kind of basically screaming the same sentiments that we had before the season was Richie Incognito, former guard for the Raiders. He went in today. Let me try to pull up the tweet here from today, man. If you haven't already, make sure to click in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I had it right here. Yep. Look, literally, Richie Incognito says this, man. He's got to go. Brandon Carroll hasn't developed this group at all. They've gotten worse every single week. Zero progression, zero improvement. The fundamentals just aren't there. Bad footwork, bad pad level, slow hands, blown assignments everywhere. When an O-line looks this lost in week 11, that's 100% on coaching. Man. And here's the part that drives me crazy. We've got 2 third-round rookies who haven't sniffed the field because he can't get them ready to play. That's the job. Develop young linemen, coach them up, give them a chance to grow. Instead, this room has flat out regressed. Nobody knows who to block, and the technique is awful. At some point, you have to hold the position coach accountable. Man, that's just, compete with his double standards. Mr. Compete with his double standards, man.
Max, truer words have not been spoken right away. If his name was Chip Carroll, he'd still be on the team. He'd still be coaching. He'd still be coaching, bro. But look, so and what's funny is that I should have written it down, and I didn't take the time to do it because I was just doing research. I was gonna look into it for this show, but I was like, maybe I didn't know if I known Chip Kelly was gonna get fired soon, so soon, I would have probably wrote everything down. But I was looking into it. So after we had our conversation with Marcus, he was like, "Oh, you know what? He don't think any of this is Brennan Carroll because when Brennan Carroll was the run game coordinator with the Seahawks, with Chris Carson, they actually it looked good." And I was like, okay, well, let me look up when Brennan Carroll was run game coordinator with the Seahawks. And I believe when I looked it up, it was the year was 2020. So before that, and they still had the same O-line coach. He was still, at that time, he was still assistant offensive line coach, but he was run game coordinator. I was like, okay, what did they rank that year in terms of running? And they were 17th. I was like, okay, 17th ain't bad. All right.
Right.
What were they the year before that when he wasn't the run game coordinator? Guess what they were the year before that? They were 4th. They were 4th in rushing the year before he took over. Then I was like, okay, well, let me see. Then, because 2020 he left Seahawks, he went to Arizona to be the run game coordinator, and I think the Seahawks averaged like 126 yards a game. I was like, well, then he left and went to Arizona. I was like, what? Let me see what Arizona did that year, 2021, and they were like 87th out of like 130 schools. Averaged 126 yards, like 126 yards a game. I was like, where was Chip Kelly and his scheme that doesn't work at all? And they were like 14th. And if you take out the top three, the three of the schools that only run, like Air Force, Navy, and another school that only runs, that would put them near the like basically top 10. Then like the next year after that, where were they? And they were like 8th. And then that year after that, they were 4th. And then he went to Ohio State. In all those years, Arizona was 87, 70 something, like in the bottom half of the nation in running. Out of 130 schools, he's like middle or the bottom of the pack. That's okay. Well, and so I was like, maybe it's just Arizona. What did he do when he got to Washington? He was at Washington last year before he took the job with the Raiders. He was in Washington with Jed Fish. What did they do in Washington? And guess what? Same spot. 100, like it's like 80 something, and they rushed about the same amount, like 126 yards a game. So this is a Brennan Carroll thing. Everywhere he's gone, he's averaged about 120 yards rushing a game, been bottom half of the league, whether it be the NFL or whether it be college. And everywhere Chip has gone, except this year, he's been, the top third of the league everywhere. So
yeah,
it
man,
is what it is.
I think Pete. He gave him a very important position that he definitely did not deserve or earned, in my opinion. Obviously it's easier said now, but like, man, if he brought him in as like maybe an assistant or something like that, and then you brought in a more seasoned and more experienced offensive line coach, I wouldn't have been mad at that, because then he would learn from a guy that's more experienced than him, that knows the position group, that's coached that position group well, but he outright made him the offensive line coach. And man, and you know, and like Richie Incognito said, man, like the fact that the third round rookies can't get on the field, man, says a lot about him. You know, not having them ready to play. If they're not ready to compete, if they're not ready to get on the field, that says a lot about the offensive line coach in week 11.
Exactly. Especially, it'd be different if our offensive line was playing well. But as bad as it's playing, you think they couldn't be better than what we have on the field now?
Bro,
That's
bad.
That's damning. That's damning.
No, facts. That's terrible because think about it this way. The year prior, the Raiders' third round pick was starting by early in the season? I think Glaze, was he starting from day one? I think he took the starting role at some point in the season. But he started the majority of the season.
You start from day one.
You start from day one. That's a third round rookie, tackle from day one. Now, a lot of people could probably point to Spytech, but when do you point it to Severe's point, to Incognito's point? Coaching has been a big problem too. So you can draft players, young players, but then at some point the coaches got to do their job, right? But you know, it is what it is, man. We appreciate everybody coming through, but we're not done yet. We got notable quotables. This is where we play a quote that we find interesting. Glazes look worse.
Yes, everybody's regressed. Meredith looks worse. Only person that looked better was Colt Miller, and know why? Because he had a full offseason where he wasn't hurt. That's the only person that looked better during his time. Everybody else looked worse than
Bowers look worse.
Man, exactly right. You know, Luke Steckel. Goddamn you,
nah. Actually, people like Luke Steckel. They like the tight ends coach.
I heard somebody was saying that the Raiders should have gave him a shot at OC instead of Greg Olsen. Just try something.
Man, Pete Carroll was not going to do that.
But guess what? Well, you watched the press conference. Greg Olsen worked with Pete Carroll in Seattle, so
yeah,
you know
he wasn't going to do that though. He wasn't going to do that. He's going to go for the more experienced guy. But guess who would?
Brandon. I'm surprised it wasn't Brandon.
And that's what I respect about AP though. Like he's not afraid to make a move.
Yeah.
To bench a guy, to make a move, or even give an opportunity. Because who did he give an opportunity to when he became an interim head coach? I know he was an interim head coach, but when he gave an opportunity for a coach, it wasn't the more experienced guys on staff. It wasn't the Scott Turners, who was, I think, an offensive coordinator before coming to the Raiders that year or last year. I think he was offensive coordinator for the Commanders, I believe. Or he at least was an offensive coordinator in his past. He could have went with
Edgar Bennett.
More experienced coaches, but he went with the QB coach.
Well, the first year.
That first year, not last year, but the year before, year prior. The second year I think he went with Scott Turner. He went with Scott Turner. He went with Scott Turner.
Scott and Norv, who we were just talking about, ironically.
Yeah, Scott and Norv too. Hey, it didn't look that bad. You know what I mean? It looked improved. It was a
better
difference.
Than this, bro. It looked better than this.
It was for sure better than this, but it was also improved from Lou Getsy too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a whole different conversation, man. But we, like I said, we're going to notable quotables, where we play a quote that we find interesting, and then we have a conversation about what's the first notable quotable.
Yes, sir. So notable quotable number one. Ironically, we're just talking about this guy, and he had some very interesting words to say on. Is it CBS Plus? That's what it is? Is that what it was? We decided it was CBS Plus. But it's AP talking about about Shedeur Sanders, and I believe this was before our matchup against the Browns.
All right, here we go. Oh, you didn't hear it?
No, can't hear it. Still can't hear
He
you.
was one of our top choices. If I would have stayed there, first of all, when I was with the Raiders, he was one of our top choices. If I would have stayed there, there's no way he goes to the 5th round. I'm making that choice and the decision that we're drafting. Mark Davis was on board with that. Our organization was on board. We believed in what we saw with Shedeur and saw enough. Obviously, what the situation I dealt with the quarterbacks. But one thing about Shedeur, I think we see all the glitz, the glamour, hitting the watch and what time it is and all that is. He's born for this. His pedigree is that for moments of this magnitude that he's going into. And again, it's against the Raiders team that's struggling, right? But the guy plays well. It's just that he's Deion's son. And we overly criticize this kid from day one. And it started in the draft. And again, you might not like his persona. You might not like his aura about himself. But Cleveland does. Every time he comes to the game, those fans, they go nuts. They go nuts. And he's a guy that I think is going to bring some excitement. I think he's going to bring some energy and some life to an organization that has struggled for so long at the quarterback position. And you can see where it doesn't matter when he gets in the game, everybody stands up. And I expect him today to play well. And it's not because it's his first start, but the Raiders defense in a whole is not very good, especially in the passing game. And I think he will have an exceptional game today, honestly, against the Raiders. I expect him to do well. I expect him to you'll see him do that walk that he did with Deion, probably by himself, and get into that mode. And you know this, Matt, as a quarterback, you have to kind of get into that zone where you block out all the noise and say, man, go back to when you were in high school, Jackson State, at Colorado, when we thought at some point you was going to be a first-round draft pick because the talent is there. But now...
Yeah, that was a little... Right. He stuck the knife in and twisted there at the end. It was like, he was throwing there was little pot shots there. It's like, look, I can't get mad at him because earlier in the year he was giving the Raiders props, but he was saying hey, obviously because the coach got his quarterback and something and his running back was something he didn't get. But now he can do a little gloating. But I just found it interesting that he talked about him and Mark Davis were on the same page in terms of drafting Shedeur, which is interesting.
See, that's what I'm saying, man. Mark, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I get it. He's the owner of the team. You know what I mean? But it's just when I heard that, first of all,
pause.
First of all, pause. No, first of all, AP had no say on the roster. I'm sure he talked to Telesco, but Telesco, it was clear that Telesco had final say on at least drafting guys.
Yeah.
Because if we just watching AP in the draft room, you could tell he was mad. You know what I mean? That he couldn't get
back.
He wanted to get a quarterback year one, but he didn't get one. So at the end of the day, I think he oversold himself when he was talking about the Shedeur Sanders. Because at what point were you talking about Shedeur Sanders with Mark? Was this during the season? Was this right after the season? At one point, because he got let go after the season, and I'm sure the conversations were different at that point. There, where during the season were you evaluating the quarterback position while you were coaching the team? When were you having this conversation? And why is Mark Davis the guy that's gonna we're gonna automatically get Shedeur just because Mark Davis said so? That's where the problem comes in for me, is just Mark Davis is the guy. That's the guy that's gonna be making picks for the Raiders. I thought it was Telesco who drafted, Bowers in the first round, who drafted obviously JPJ in the second, and Glaze and all these guys. Can you criticize him for not drafting a quarterback at all? For sure. Yeah. But my point is that I think he oversold himself. He's now working for CBS Plus. He has to talk about football, talk about his teams, talk about his experience, correlate the two. And obviously the Raiders are a team that is often talked about, and he has a connection with that team. So he's going to name drop a little bit. I think he's gonna oversell it a little bit. Like, but I mean, would you have taken Shedeur in the first round?
First round? Heck no. But the thing is that you think about it like this, because like all offseason we saw Mark Davis like piling around. No, all offseason, but on a few occasions we saw Mark Davis piling around with Shedeur. You know, he would say some stuff.
Bro,
he's at the basketball game.
He's just so gullible. Like you said, he's just so gullible. Like, oh my God, this is Deion Sanders' son, Shedeur.
Yeah,
like he's just amazed, like so easily.
Yeah, but in fairness to him, like, you know, at the time, like some people, there was like at that time, people was like, oh, who's QB1, Shedeur or Cam Ward? Like that was like a legit thing, right?
Yeah,
you know. And even I had Cam Ward as a slight edge because of, you know, obviously physical traits and stuff like that. But, you know, Shedeur, just his ability to process and, you know, like stuff he was doing, throwing an accurate, catchable ball and, you know, like throwing to like a guy that's an actual NFL receiver. So that experience that you have already with that kind of, you know, like he was my QB too. So, you know, the thought was that he'd go high. And remember, there was a thought in time where it's like, man, the Raiders might have to trade up to get Shedeur. Like, you know, if they won him. And people were connecting those dots, and then obviously he was he had an NIL deal with TB12, and so people were connecting the dots with Mark Davis hanging out with them and TB12 stuff, and so, you know, it was all lining up. Now, obviously, somewhere in there, you know, something changed, but you know, I obviously anytime if you're going to draft a franchise quarterback, a guy you think is going to be a franchise quarterback, and you potentially may have to do it high. You're gonna have the conversation with the owner, right? And it should be, you know, the coach, owner, and GM. They have a conversation about the guy, and they should all be on the same page about the guy. I talked about this earlier, right? You don't draft a guy that high, you know, unless you were sold on him and, you know, you feel that he can be that guy. Do I feel Tom Telesco was sold on him? No. Tom Telesco would have drafted Tyler Shuck, you know, it's Tyler Shuck guy. this guy, I like to cut his jib. Like he's the one of those kind of guys.
Severe, you want a top 3 pick or do you want a top 7 pick?
Exactly. So do
you want a top 3 pick or do you want a top 7 pick? I'm just curious. You know exactly why, just based off the conversation we had earlier. Because if the Raiders have a top 3 pick, Mendoza's coming.
Tom Brady,
he's coming to Vegas.
Rolling all over Mendoza, bro.
I'm telling you, if they have a top 3 pick, they're going quarterback, no doubt about it. I'm not even going to question it. If they don't go quarterback, I'm not gonna lie, I would respect the gangster.
Yeah,
I would respect it because it would come with a lot of, you know, backlash from the fan base, from. You know what I mean? I think probably going against Mark Davis because I'm sure Mark is going to want to get a quarterback because he doesn't want to hear, you know, he wants a quarterback in the building, I'm sure. Yeah, man. I look, I think they probably would have drafted. I think Telesco and AP probably would have drafted him at some point, but then he was just like, oh man, he wouldn't have been there in the, like.
5th round. He said in the 5th round, so it could be. No, he left it open enough where it could have been anywhere between the 1st and the 4th. Like, he left it that.
But he's not gonna make himself look bad though. He said it in a way where he's not gonna make himself look bad. You know.
True.
Because if he said I would have drafted him in the 1st round, or I would have drafted him number 1, or you know what I mean. But if Shedeur keeps playing well, I'm sure every time he talks about Shedeur, he's gonna change up the whole like, oh, we would have drafted him at number 6.
Exactly. We was like, man.
Yeah.
He was at least. It's gonna go from like, man, he was at least a day 2 pick, at least a day 2. And it's gonna be like, you know, hey, second round, top of the 2nd round. Why don't you do it? Then it's like, man, 1st round pick. Yeah. Like, come on, bro.
I think AP, maybe Telesco would have probably drafted Shedeur. For whatever reason, Brady and Spytek, they did not want anything to do with Shedeur at all.
Yeah.
And the majority of the NFL too. So that's just is what it is. But I thought that was interesting. And if Shedeur keeps balling, that's going to be another stain. if he develops, right now he's a rookie, he's gonna make mistakes or whatever. But if he develops and he turns into a good player, that's gonna be a stain on the Raiders. If I'll say this, like especially if the quarterback situation is gonna be the same as it is right now, like we still don't know who the franchise guy is, and Cleveland got their guy. You know what I mean? And we could have had him, but it is we got another notable quotable, right? We got one more.
Got notable quotable. There's so many I could have chosen from, but I grabbed one from this is Pete Carroll's press conference. You know, essentially after the firing of Chip Kelly, he asked the question about. Bro, this is so telling. This is so telling. So telling. He asked the question about were there going to be any shakeups on the offensive line, and the first phrase says it all.
Well, we got the guys we got, you know, and so we're going to continue to have our guys battle to show what they can do and how their play time and what they earn, you know, during the week. But more so, it's trying to get everybody connected with really the approach and the philosophy that really I've stood for a long time, and so you know, we gave our guys a lot of leeway because of the respect that we have for the coaches, and but it just hasn't quite gotten right, and I think we can do better. Well,
yeah, man, I give it to Pete. He is as loyal as they come. He will like with Geno, he'll like, yeah, maybe I don't even know. I think he's just loyal. Like, why wouldn't? Because he's firing all these other guys. He obviously not loyal to these other guys. But you know what? Okay, we forgot to even talk about this. Because now that I thought about it, because he fired Chip Kelly, but I think we heard this before. We've heard people talk about this, but Lincoln Kennedy also he talked about it, and he said that he was surprised that Chip Kelly was fired because he thought his job was safe because Chip Kelly wasn't a Pete Carroll hire. Yeah, it was from other people in the building. Yeah. You know, the obvious suspects are like Tom Brady.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Either insinuating Tom Brady or Mark Davis, maybe Jim Gray. I'm trying to think, are there any other connections there? Because now the Jim Gray thing is interesting. I got to look at if Jim Gray has any connections to, like, you know, Ohio State at all, or like to Oregon or to Chip Kelly in any way. But you know what? I meant to bring this point up earlier, and you reminded me of it. It makes it only further illustrates Pete Carroll and his loyalty and favoritism to guys, to his people, right? So I think somebody said that. I think Leo said earlier that in 14 years, Pete Carroll had never fired like a coach in season, right?
Yep. And
know what the difference between those 14 years was and this year? He inherited Tom McMahon. He inherited Patrick Graham. There's insinuation that other forces were behind the hiring of Chip Kelly. Obviously, Big Nail, that was the lone guy Chip Kelly got to hire to his own staff. 3 of those guys are gone. You know?
Yeah.
One guy left. And I think Steckel he inherited Steckel too. But everybody else, like, you know, it weren't his guys. They were other. So he never fired anybody he hired personally. But if he inherited a person, or they were hired, you know, under the influence or the coercion of somebody else, then those guys can go. And I'm not giving you a chance. You ain't finishing out the year. You can kick rocks.
You know, it's funny too, because when he does stuff like that, it kind of builds in it's like a built-in excuse. Like, hey man, I'm trying to get rid of the dead weight. The reason why the Raiders have been, or the reason why this team has been unsuccessful is because the guys that I didn't get a chance to properly evaluate and add to the team. Like, Because because what I'm trying to say is if he benches Geno, that means he's wrong. Because Geno was his idea. Geno was his quarterback. If he fires Brendan Carroll, then that means he's wrong. And obviously that's his son. So that's where the loyalty comes also. A big part of that loyalty is that's his son. But also it would be firing Carroll, to your point, would be pointing the finger at him.
Yeah.
So he's not going to make moves where it's going to point the finger back at him and say that he was wrong. Like Dante Thornton. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't happy that Dante Thornton wasn't out there. I forgot which game it was. It might have been the Jaguars game where he didn't get a lot of snaps. And then he went back to the starting lineup against the Broncos. Yeah. He's been there. He's been getting snaps ever since. So there was a game where he was inactive. I think he was I think he might have been inactive against the Jaguars. And he didn't like that, and he went back. So he doesn't. Everything that's connected to Pete Carroll, to your point, you know, he has a loyalty to. And it's also if he makes an adjustment or he benches someone, or if it's an admission of guilt of not being successful at something. So it's going to be pointing the finger back at him. Exactly. So I don't know if he's thinking about it to that level. I don't know if it's subconscious, but it's just a big coincidence that like the guys that you fired, you're not really connected to. The guys that you don't want on the field, or the guys that you know what I mean, that like you played a part in drafting, they're on the field, but not the spy tech guys. I mean, like the other guys that like it's just like he picks and chooses who he wants out there, and it's, bro. I'm done, man. I'm done with Pete, man. He's too old to be doing all this. I mean, it's just these types of games, and this is like, bro, this is not going to end well. It doesn't make any sense to bring it back like at all, because this is not going to help the betterment of the team long term. Like this team needs development. This team needs good coaching. This team needs a long-term approach to developing his team, and Pete's not on that time. He wants to sign Myers to a long-term contract. He wants to sign Amari Cooper to a deal. He wants to, you notice, like he wants to win now. He wants win now moves. But hey, if you've been paying attention to Raiders, they've kind of been on that timeline for a while now, and they've been going in circles and going nowhere. Now look at the state of the roster. Where's the young talent? Why are the Raiders not one of the most talented teams in the NFL? Now it's because they haven't done a good job of prioritizing a long-term young talent on this roster. But you know,
facts.
It is what it is, man. Who did we hire?
Who do we hire? Greg Olsen. If you're talking about who do we hire as OC, or who got elevated to interim OC, Greg Olsen.
No, he's just saying who do we hire?
Who do we hire?
Who do we?
Who do it as what?
I'll say I'll just assume that it's head coach, and if correct us if we're wrong. I mean, we talked about it earlier. I mean, I would think for me it would be a first year head coach candidate.
Yeah.
First year head coach, meaning that they didn't have a previous stop. Just because where the Raiders are at in the rebuild process, I'd rather not play around and just get a young coach that understands that this is a long-term thing, and we're going to be developing this for a long-term success. And I think you can get a guy that will be on the same page with Spy Tech if they're a first-year head coach. And that who that looks like is the Clint Kubiaks of the world, the Shulas of the world, from the Rams defensive coordinator. Those are the two top, I think right now, as far as buzz right now, I think they're probably getting the most buzz, is the two top offensive minded coach and defensive minded coaches. They're the two top guys. I mean, Joe Brady,
probably right. He's probably right there with Kubiak.
He's up there, but I don't think Joe Brady comes to the Raiders. I feel like Joe Brady would go.
Oh, Kubiak ain't going to come to the Raiders.
I know. I wanted Kubiak to come to the Raiders. Like, man, was that the year That might have the year that AP. It might have been last year. He went to the Saints. I was like,
went to the Saints. I was.
Man.
I think he got fired before the end of the year. I want to say so. But that was a rough situation. But yeah, he got fired before the end of the year, I believe. But yeah, I mean, I've been consistent. Mike LaFleur. I've been consistent. Mike LaFleur. Kyle Shanahan tree and Sean McVay tree. Coach under both of those guys. Brother is a head coach in the NFL. So the pedigree is there as well. So that's that's the guy I'm going with. Offensive minded coach, young guy, still fairly young as a head coach.
What worst case scenario? It's not the sexiest pick at head coach, but Patrick Graham.
That's worst case scenario. I'm gonna say worst case scenario because, like I said, if we can get a good offensive coordinator with Patrick Graham, like Daboll might coach with Patrick Graham. They have a Patriots connection and a Giants connection. So when Daboll took over for the other Patriots guy that the Giants fired, I forget his name, but when Daboll took over, he wanted Patrick Graham to stay, and Josh McDaniels was the only reason that he was lured away from New York. Patrick Graham probably wish he stayed now. I mean, possibly so.
I would love Daboll just for quarterback development and just to identify the next quarterback, just because he had a hand in obviously vouching for Josh Allen when they traded up and got him. They traded up and got Jackson Dart. A lot of people point to Daniel Jones and how it didn't work out, but that was not a quarterback that he drafted. That was a quarterback that he inherited. He didn't believe in, but man, when he was able to be a part of drafting a quarterback and where the Raiders are in their, just where they're at right now and trying to get a quarterback, I think he would be a guy to bring in for sure. The only thing about Daboll that I looked into is he's crazy. Like he's crazy. When I mean like crazy, I mean like you would have to pair him with a very strong-willed. Like Brian Flores will easily shut him down. I can see Brian Flores like, hey, you need to calm your head. Yeah. Like, because he's gotten into with coaches, like when they were, because I was looking into Brian Daboll and why he got fired and how that whole situation went down, and like they were saying like he would get into it with assistant coaches. Like the offensive coordinator Mike, who's the current head coach, interim head coach, Kafka. He basically stripped him of play calling duties last year. Then he gave it back to him, and he was getting ready to take it back. Like he's very emotional, but very like just passionate. Like you got to be a strong-willed coach. So like if it's a younger coach, it'd probably be a bad parent. Yeah. So if Patrick Graham is strong-willed and he can handle that. Patrick Graham seems very easygoing, like very laid back, cool. Yeah. I don't know. That's what it seemed like. He seemed like very laid back, cool. I don't know if like Brian Daboll would be like a great fit for him.
I agree, but I mean, I don't know who it might have been Patrick Graham who said it himself, but somebody told me that like Patrick Graham, he's like that in front of the cameras, but when he's like actually coaching, he's like MFing people and like he's getting at people. I don't know how true that is. Okay. But that's what somebody, I can't remember who said. It might have been just Patrick Graham saying it himself, but I recall somebody saying that. But sometimes you need like a balance, right? You need a balance. You need a good cop and a bad cop. You need a guy to be the hey, you know what? Daboll yelled at me. Oh man, step into my office, man. Let's talk about it. What's going on? That situation. Yeah. And sometimes it's good to have the balance because the problem with the Raiders is that when they had Josh McDaniels, they really didn't have that balance because Josh McDaniels was like that. Mick Lombardi was like that. so
a good comparison in some ways is like how it was a bad mix was like Spytek and Carroll.
Yeah.
Carroll's a 75-year-old coach. He's well experienced. He's been in charge his whole career, damn near at coach, as far as roster control and drafting guys. And then you pair him with a young coach like Spytek, he doesn't have a chance. Like he's gonna Spytek like he's not gonna have a chance. So you pair Brian Dable with a young coach, the coach is going to be like, oh, like he might overpower the younger coach. I'm not saying that will happen, but it's just one thing that I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. So then that gives you an idea of like who you should like pair him with.
Yeah, true.
Like
true.
Brian Flores, for sure. I'll do that instantly. Yeah. Brian Flores, he's not the.
Yeah, see, that's the thing is like if you do Brian Flores though, you got two guys that are kind of like kind of militant.
Yeah.
So it's like you lack that balance. But the thing is that, like, you know, Brian Flores is different than Patrick Graham, whereas he might be less easily influenced because he's actually been a head coach before. He's actually been in situations where, you know, even when the owner and the GM were kind of trying to coerce him into doing something, he kind of stood his ground on it. And, you know, he stayed 10 toes down, didn't move off his square. You know, obviously it cost him his job, but he was willing to lose his job for his conviction. So, you know, maybe that's a situation where, hey, he's a guy that's strong enough to kind of stand up to Dayball. But at the same time, like I said, you know, you have two guys that are that same style, where it's that can kind of wear on guys. So
yeah,
you need to find that balance.
Yeah. If you haven't already, make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. We're going live on both our channels. So if you haven't already, definitely hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If it's your first time joining us, definitely hit the subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified for future content. Man, it's that time, man. It's what's real, what's not. This is where we say statement. And you guys react as well as us. If it's real or it's not. So me and Severe, actually, we just have one today. So, Severe, if you want to go ahead and pull out the statement here for what's real, what's not, and we're gonna react to it if it's real or not.
You kind of make your feelings known, but yeah, as Pharaoh was saying, you know, what's real, what's not. We say a statement. You know, it's a statement of fact, and you guys say, or statement of opinion. You guys say, is it real or is it not real? And today's statement is: the recent firings show that Pete Carroll believes that he will be back next season. The recent firings show that Pete Carroll believes he will be back next season. Keyword is believes.
Oh, you're saying if Pete Carroll believes?
If Pete Carroll believes he will be back next season. The recent firings show that he believes he will be back next season.
If he believes changes that whole answer. I think that's real. I think Pete Carroll does believe that he's coming back because he's setting it. He's trying to set it up. I think there's a little bit of a nervousness to him because if you're firing. If you've never fired assistant coaches in your coaching career during the season and you're doing it for the first time, that means you feel a little bit of pressure. There's a lot of pressure that you're feeling that, you know, you might not come back for a second year. So you're trying to look for excuses and scapegoats. So you're firing, you know, Chip Kelly, you're firing his right-hand man who we didn't talk about. That was an assistant on the staff. Oh, you brought it up. And then obviously the special teams coordinator, he was also fired after the Broncos game. And these are all like excuses. And to be honest with you, special teams have been a problem this year. Probably contributed to a couple of losses this year, at least.
Like three.
You know what I mean? Like the Bears game, like literally the game-winning field goal, game-winning field goal gets blocked. Man, how many games did they give up like special teams touchdown? Like it's crazy. I know the Commanders, obviously last game, did they give one up against the Broncos?
I don't think so. I think they had a big return. I think they had a big return though. I do think they had a big return in that game if I recall correctly.
Yeah, it just seems like special teams have been an issue. So he fires him. Boom. Built-in excuse there. Offense has been terrible this year. His scapegoat, Chip Kelly. Boom. You know what I mean? So does he believe it though? I'm gonna say not real. I'm gonna say not real. I know I was about to say like, oh, he believes it because he's crazy enough like to believe it because Chip's super positive, but the fact that he's doing this, it's a little bit of desperation. So I don't think he believes he's coming back. I think he's trying to make a case. So it's not real.
I mean that is one way to look at it. That is one way to look at it. I think the other way to look at it is, he's been laying the foundation for this for a little while now, where, he was like, oh, man, I don't know why we're not running the ball more. We need to run the ball, and then they asked him why you aren't running the ball. He was like, but I don't call the plays. And then, he kept harping on it. It kept, like, you would say, he would say stuff about the offense. Then later in the week, Chip Kelly would kind of refute it, and kind of like fact check it and say, like, speak the truth. So you can kind of tell they weren't on the same page. So I think he's been laying the groundwork for quite some time. Go ahead. Let's hit this for super chat, though, because it's kind of real quick.
No, it's all good. Let me hit the super chat real quick. My guy, LS, appreciate the super chat. He says, how the hell did Pete finesse Mark for $15 million per year when we're the only team interested in them? That's 1,000 years of negotiating skills right there. Yeah, man. Pete Carroll interviewed for the job like really well. Like he sold them. Man, that's crazy. Like he had them forgetting like that he was that old. And that if it didn't work out, there's a possibility that he was not going to be a part of that long term.
Yeah, And they gave him a 3-year deal. He was 73 years old, and they gave him a 3-year deal, bro. Like, it's the 3-year deal for a 73-year-old with the 4th-year option, just in case he's good, so good. You want to keep him for year 77? What?
70. He would have been 77 by the 3rd year of that deal.
If he stays all yeah, or if he stays all years, yeah, he'll be 78 at the end of it. If he stayed, turning 78 September of that season, if he stayed.
Damn,
so
40 years old.
But
almost 80 years old. That's wild,
I think that because you look at it like this: if Pete Carroll didn't believe he was coming back next year, what's the point of firing Chip Kelly? Like, what does that really accomplish for you this year? It almost accomplishes nothing, because even a few like token wins at the end of the season, that does nothing but put you in worse draft position.
With a bad team.
With a bad team. But if if you feel like, what, this Chip Kelly hire was forced upon me. I didn't want this guy. Now I got my guy Greg Olsen. Let's start the process this year. Start building toward next year, so we kind of have some momentum going into the offseason. It's almost like he's doing with Greg Olsen, a very experienced NFL coach, what he should be doing with young players, right? Like, get them some playing time, build some chemistry, see what you have there in them, go into the offseason with some momentum, you work out the kinks, you start next year strong. It seems like that's kind of like what he's doing with Greg Olsen, where he's like, hey, you know what? I know Greg knows me. Let's kind of get this established this year, finish out strong, and then we can hit next year running. So I think, like, if you don't think you're coming back, or if you think it's a strong chance you get fired, I mean, what's really the point of firing Chip Kelly or firing? Well, Tom McMahon happened a little bit earlier. Maybe that was a different situation. But what's the point of firing Chip Kelly? Like or why would Mark or Tom allow him to even do so? Especially Mark. Like, Mark is on the hook for his Chip Kelly's entire contract, which conceivably would have been in line with that 3 years that Pete Carroll was signed for guaranteed. So that's $18 million. Another $18 million you flush down the drain. So, like, for them to sign off on it, there has to be some kind of belief or some kind of convincing going on from Pete Carroll, in my opinion, that, he's making the case to be back next year?
Yeah, I think he okay. The only reason why I thought about this a little bit longer, because he's crazy enough and delusional enough to think that he feels like he come back this year.
Yeah.
But then it's just the desperation moves by firing, like he's never done this before, and I understand, like, okay, well, these weren't his guys, so he was obviously, he was not connected to him in any way for him to make the moves, but it's never happened before, so he went ahead and did that. And the fact that we're already hearing reports, the fact that there are reports out saying that him and Spytek are not on the same page, which I questioned before all these reports came out. I'm like, if these young players can't get on the field, and at some point in a losing season, and they can't get on the field, then there's a disconnect between Spytek and Pete Carroll. You got to question that. But I was at the time, people were like, oh, stop speculating and this, that, and third. I'm like, it's common sense.
Yeah.
And then, like, as time goes on, people are like, damn, it's 2-8. It's 2-9. Guess how many snaps Besh, this is his lucky number. He might as well change his number to this number. Guess how many snaps 9 snaps.
Crazy, bro. But look. Like, not only did we talk about this before the reports came out, we talked about this right after the draft. Not right after the draft, but we talked about, like, right after training camp, when they had to make the roster cuts, and then they cut Tommy Millott, and then they bringing in Amari Cooper. We're looking like, yo, bro, they can't be on the same page here, because they just drafted 2 rookie receivers. Why are they trying to bring in this? Why are they trying to bring in Amari Cooper? Why is the expectation? Or why are they cutting Tommy Millott? And the reason they're cutting him is, well, he's not going to be able to contribute this year. Like, well, shouldn't you have known that? Like, why is the expectation that a FCS quarterback that's changing to an NFL wide receiver will be able to contribute in year one? Like, why is the timeline so fast?
Facts. That was the first sign. Because Spytek, he had a little bit of a when they asked him about the Mellott situation, if you remember, he had a little slick remark.
Yeah.
He had a slick remark about, like, hopefully he can go somewhere where they give him time.
Yeah.
To develop. And when he said that, like, it'd be like, that's a weird send off.
Yeah.
Like, hopefully you can go somewhere. I might be paraphrasing, but it was something to that effect. And we might be able to bring that up maybe on the next show or in a future show. But I'll play that quote because it's very important, because that's probably like the beginning of, like, the Pete Carroll, or at least the beginning of us seeing Pete Carroll and Spytek kind of like disagreeing a little bit. Because how do you draft a guy, change his position, and expect him to contribute year one?
Yeah.
Why even draft him? But that's man, Pete Carroll, man. That's why you got to get a young coach, man. Got to get a young coach.
Yeah.
Man, appreciate everybody pulling up. Valid questions. Black Sales Sportsman, salute to you. It says, does Mark eat another $32 million by letting Carroll go? Good question. Valid.
Yeah.
But hey, who's paying that contract? Maybe the new ownership might be picking up the tab a little bit, at least some of it.
I mean, but damn, that's a lot of money for Mark to be paying. He signed. There was like a settlement with Gruden for when he resigned. Obviously, I think he ate like between Ziegler and McDaniels. I think it was like $80-something million right there that he ate. And then obviously AP, who he was getting paid on the lower end, he was probably getting what Chip Kelly's getting around that. And then we don't know what Telesco was getting, but that's probably at least another, between the two of them, another like $10 million, somewhere in that range. So it's like $100 million over a 4-year period. $100 million in coaches over a 4-year period.
Yeah.
Plus the 30 from Pete, 132. plus the 15 or 18 from it's 150. Not to mention all the position coaches and stuff like that. That's like not even counting all the position coaches, which like however much they're getting paid.
Yeah, man. Hey, look, man. I'm just. There's no way they can bring him back, man. There's no way. There's no way. It's just too many. It's just too many things that are like they're gonna draft a quarterback with this guy. Like he's gonna have a say on the quarterback because he had a say on Genty and Dante Thornton and Tommy Mellott and I'm not trying to say Mellott is gonna be this but it's just when you're affecting the strategy, the long term of the team, you're hurting the team. Yep. You're hurting the team. Like if you're not letting the young guys go, you're hurting the team. If they can't get on the field when it's like there's nothing to play for, there is nothing to play for. The Raiders haven't been officially eliminated, but they will be eliminated soon. And they're 2-9, and Besh is averaging 9 snaps a game, and Tyler Lockett, he's been productive with Geno, but it's just
point.
What's the point? What is the point? Exactly. What is the point? It's pointless. He's not part of the Raiders' future at all.
See, and that's what kind of see, Pete, could you be stubborn? Because that's kind of what flips the narrative the other way, where it's like, okay, if he thought he's going to be back next year, let's get these young guys some PT. But he could just be a stubborn guy where he's like, no, it's all an integrity of the game. We got to try to win every game all the time. But you know what? I will say this. After his last press conference, they asked, what they asked him basically something about the future or when would the decision start to be geared more toward the future. And he's like, what? That's something we're going to have to look at. He left the door open. No other time did he leave the door open. This time he left the door open to, what? Maybe we start looking toward the future. This is the first time I heard him that door be ajar at all.
And another thing too is, like, if they bring him back, I don't want him. If like he comes back, then he needs to be stripped of like a lot of whatever decision making that he had, whatever power that he had as far as roster control, like needs to be stripped. His son needs to be demoted. If he doesn't want to fire his son, he needs to be demoted to like quality control,
to equipment manager,
or some type of like title where it seems like he's doing something, but he's really not. Like they need to hire like a real offensive line coach. Like, let's be real, bro. Like come on, man. It's just too risky. It's just too risky. It's too risky to even like. I'm over here talking about the theme of the next offseason. The offseason should be offensive line, but what good is it if you have a terrible offensive line coach?
Oh, bro. But if Pete is drafting, we going Caleb Downs. He's all man.
And you know what?
See this DB?
And another thing to keep in mind too, y'all. Hey, for all the Pete Carroll guys, Pete's never really have a good offensive line. Like that's probably one of his biggest weaknesses since he's been a head coach in the NFL. He's never really built up a strong offensive line. Maybe a defense at some point, but even his defense was falling off. It's time with Seattle until Mike McDonald, you know what I mean, came over there and kind of turned things around and was able to like turn that unit around. But like before that, like they were kind of middle of the pack. A lot of Seattle Seahawks fans, they're falling off. They're tired of Pete Carroll because he was there for years. So they seen like it's been year after year where they're seeing the same results, different year, but same results with Pete Carroll. So they knew that it was time. So,
see, but I think I think Pete Carroll has hired Tom Cable multiple times. I could be wrong on that. He's hired him for sure in Seattle. But I think he's hired him multiple times. And then the other thing is that somebody brought up this point was that like about Pete's valuation of offensive line, where he traded Max Unger, who was like one of the best centers in the league. He traded him for Jimmy Graham, like a low key, like not washed, but a Jimmy Graham that was already starting to see some signs of decline. he traded one of the best centers in the league for Jimmy Graham, a tight end. So it's like, yo, bro, like this is you. This what you do. You don't prior. So it's crazy. It's crazy, bro.
Yeah, man, it is what it is, man. We appreciate everybody coming through. Great conversation, man. We always be going. We got to cut this stuff down, man.
Yeah, man.
Be honest with y'all, man. We be, hey, man. We love the Raiders. We love talking to y'all. We love chopping it up, man, and having great conversations. But man, we blessing y'all with these 3 hour marathon lives, man. You know what I mean?
We started this a long time ago. We was like, yeah, we can get this to an hour and a half.
Man,
we was an hour and a half. We were an hour and a half before we got to the flag of the play, bro.
I used to like when I started doing the lives, man, I would be like, all right, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, just by myself talking. Now I could do hour and a half easy. Just going in on the Raiders and just this team is terrible. This needs to make this move. And obviously the chat, man, salute to everybody in the night crew pulling up. Y'all make the show as well, man, and keep the conversation going. So we appreciate y'all. Just make sure to clock in at this point, clock out, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Yeah, man, we love doing the shows, but we're gonna be cutting down the shows, man. We're gonna keep it at and I think at the end of the day, I think it's gonna be consumable for everybody that watches too, because it's like an hour. It's easier to watch an hour show. You know what I mean? Everybody, you might be working out, going to the gym on your way to work. I think an hour show would be smooth. Like that's the goal. Hour and a half max. Because we're trying to incorporate everybody in the chat, and then obviously we kind of have our thoughts. And me, Severe would go in, and we today was. I might change this the title of the show, the Mark Davis Show. Because we were going in on Mark Davis early on. Check the replay if you missed it, but still great conversation. Appreciate everybody pulling up. This week, holiday week, man. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody, man. Hopefully y'all enjoy the holidays, eat some good food, enjoy the day off. If y'all working, get y'all money, man, and do what you guys got to do. And I think Around the Shield will be this Friday. So usually we do it Thursday, due to Thanksgiving, the holidays. We're going to push it to Friday. Stay tuned on when that will be. Probably be a little bit earlier than usual, but we're going to be pushing it to Friday. So be on the lookout. So that's why we tell you to hit the notification bell so be notified when we drop new content and also drop lives and all that good stuff for this week. But Severe, man, let the people know where they can find you, what to look forward to, all that good stuff.
You guys know what it is, man. The Severe Raider here on YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok, X, IG. All social media is the Severe Raider, man. Holla at your boy, True Social, Kick, Twitch. You know what time it is. Real quick, man. Quick note. If anybody's gonna be in the LA area, or being out in LA for the game, obviously, I live in LA, so hit your boy up. Hit me up on any of my socials, man. Tap in. I'm always down to link up with fans. I'm not going to the game. I ain't spend no more money on the Raiders. I ain't even wearing no Raiders. I ain't even wearing no more Raiders gear for the rest of the year, bro, to be honest with you. But I will be going to the tailgate to link up with some folks. So if anybody's going to be out there tailgating, holla at me, man. Always down to break bread with members of the night crew. But hey, my shows, man. Tuesdays and Thursdays. My dog, PharoahNFL, man. It's like, man, like 2 years strong, something like that, man. Damn near, man.
Yeah, man. We've been doing our thing for a minute, man.
Yeah, man. Hey, since I had zero subs, man. So hey, now, hey, it's chugging away, man. We stacking. Sunday and Wednesdays, obviously, in the Raider War Room. With my guys, Chris from Protect the Shield and 805 Raider. Mondays, I'm gonna have to put a pause on Mondays, maybe for the next 2 weeks. My son has Super Bowl. The Super Bowl coming up on the December 13th. So Monday nights, I've been having them work with this trainer after practice. So it's been like a little bit later night. So it's kind of tough to get it in. I might try to get one in. He's doing well, man. Doing well. Like I said, man. Super Bowl coming up, man. Hey, they one win away from winning it all, man. So
damn, they won last year too, huh?
No, they went last year. They lost to the Raiders. They only lost 2 games all of last year, and they lost the season finale to the Raiders and they lost the Super Bowl to the Raiders. But look, this year we saw the Raiders. This year, the game on Sunday, they played the Raiders and they beat them. They beat them.
Okay.
They skunked they skunked them 14-0. So
yeah,
they kind of got that monkey off their back. So they're going against a team that they split the season with. They won the opening game against them, but then they lost another game like middle of the year against them. So it's a 1-1 all right now. So this is a tiebreaker. So we'll see. But
so both games been good. Have they been like competitive?
Both games, the first game was not really competitive. The second game was not really competitive either when they lost, but they were missing some guys that second game. So now they were missing
this game going to be good then. It's probably going to be good.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good. And
sure.
the coaches, all the coaches know each other. It's going to be good. It's the Carson Coach. The Carson Coach is like it's a big, like, if anybody knows about youth football in LA, Carson Coach is like a big deal out here. So they're going against them. So it's gonna be a good game, man. It's gonna be a good game.
Oh, that's dope, man. And hey, look, I could comfortably say shout out to Vibazila. He says this podcast has been keeping it real the entire year. Other Raiders gaslight people into false sense of happiness. I can't speak on other Raider podcasts. There's a lot of people doing their thing, man. Shout out to them. But I could comfortably say this has got to be the realest podcast out there,
man.
The realest Raiders podcast out there, man. Hey, I'm telling you, 50-50 show around the shield, man. Severe by himself, hey, we try to keep it as honest as possible. I know when I first started out, I'm still optimistic in my approach about the Raiders, but I'm not gonna lie. When I see something that's real obviously questionable, I gotta call it out. I gotta question it. And we have these conversations, and shout out to everybody, in the night crew in the chat, to also not about just agreeing, but also like pointing out certain things about the team that is true.
Man.
You know what I mean? That we try to have these real conversations, and guess what happens when you have these real conversations? They tend to the truth at the end of the day is going to come out the end. So like we called out Pete Carroll in the beginning. We called out Brendan Carroll hiring the assistant coaches that got hired. We called out this team before the season for what it is, and look at it. I mean, a lot of people would have told you that this team was going 10-7 and making the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I was just like looking at it. I was like, bro, I can't say that with a straight face no more, man. I can't anytime where you have, just rule of thumb, man. Like if anytime where there's too many question marks, there's too many questions that you don't really 100% know the answer to, most likely it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
It's not a good thing. You should go like a good teams. You should feel confident for like a lot. There's going to be, every team is going to have maybe one or two question marks, at least. The good teams are going to have at least one or two question marks. But I'm just saying, when you're a bad team, and it's going to be obvious that you're going to ask these questions. If you don't know the answer with a confidence, bro, you're not going to be a good team, man, at the end of the day. And that's the way we looked at it, man.
Yeah, man. Like, as Pharaoh kind of said, man, I always try to keep it real. Obviously, it's the difference between like keeping it real and being negative is the results, right? Like once people see the results, then it goes from, because in the beginning of the year, a lot of people was like, oh man, you're just negative, and you guys or they accuse me especially for some reason. I don't know, Pharaoh, he guys got a very welcoming face, like he looks like somebody y'all went to school with or what it is, but Pharaoh will say the same thing and get no smoke, and y'all will be on my neck about, like, man, Severe, remember you said this? You said this?
It's your tone. It's your tone, bro, man. I'm telling you, bro, it's your tone. It's your tone.
I don't know. I don't know other. I keep it real. But I
don't take it anything else. But I could see someone walking by and be like, man, like, you're a hater. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm just passionate, man. And I be having to catch myself. I'll be having to catch myself, man, because like, my neighbors be like, man, I heard you yelling yesterday. I'm like, oh man, my bad, bro. Like I don't mean because I just get amped. I get beat, when I'm talking and do it, I don't even be realizing it. I'm like, oh man, I got.
But it's the truth though, man. I don't really get mad at someone telling the truth, man. I'm be like, yeah. You got to acknowledge it, at the end of the day. And shout out to, LS says, I like the disagreements. Yeah, me, Severe, we don't agree on everything. You know what I mean? Sometimes we disagree on certain things and we just talk it out, and that's how we go about it, man. It's all love on the show, whatever. But it makes for a great conversation. And same thing with everybody in the chat. I don't think we all agree in the chat at the end of the day. So, but it's still... Sometimes the truth hurts, facts, bro. Because the Raiders, man, they're like, if we're being real, they're entertainment. Yeah. And it's the entertainment the best type of entertainment is when the team is good. So when you tell someone that the team is right before the season, if you're telling them it's not good, people don't want to hear that because you're telling them something that they really don't want to hear. Because they want to look forward to their Sundays. They want to look forward to watching good football. So,
yeah, I mean, especially like it's like I've been like, no, I see why people hate me because I've attacked like fan favorites, like AOC. People love AOC, and I just but it's not even because I don't like AOC. I think AOC is a fine gentleman. I think he's an upstanding member of the community. I think he's a good teammate. I think the word of him as a person. As a quarterback, he ain't it. Same thing with Ashton Genty, man. I think Ashton Genty is a good kid. I think he's a hard worker. I think a good person, I'm sure he's all of those things. Do I think he's going to be an elite player in the NFL? No. So like, when you go after those people that people have an affinity for, like Tommy Eichenberg, a lot of people liked him because he was famous at Ohio State. He's Big Ten guy, and so like I gotta keep it honest, man. I'm gonna give it to y'all straight.
And it's funny to your point. I literally have a video. It's literally a short, and it's talking about like the worst picks I hated from the 2023. Was it 2023 draft or 2022 draft? It might have been the 2023 draft where Aiden O'Connell got drafted. And I was like, bro, I was basically saying like this dude is like, what were the Raiders thinking drafting a guy that's unathletic with a weak arm in 2020? You know what I mean? Like whatever the year, 2023. Like, what are we doing? Like this is a quarterback that has no ceiling. Like I was just killing the pick, and I had to eat my words just for a second in that preseason because that was probably the best I've ever seen. First preseason,
he was elite preseason.
That was the best I've ever seen Aiden O'Connell play. Was that first preseason? It made you think like, oh, okay, maybe I was wrong. But ever since then,
Josh McDaniels do that for you.
I know, right?
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, Pete and Brandon too. Yeah, I did go at Pete and Brandon too.
Severe. Hey, bro. He goes after. He just goes.
I'm
after
equal opportunity,
man.
Bro. Like my dog was Michael Mayer, and I've been shitting on Michael Mayer recently, bro. Because hey, like if you ain't like you could be my guy, bro. But if you ain't out here, you don't see production, bro, I can't defend you if you just a bum.
Bro, I called him average, bro. I said he was average. He's been an average NFL football player in the league, and that's probably being nice, based off his availability and production. You know what I mean? But because if you think about it, like. What the Raiders really need in that tight end room, and that's probably speaking for a lot of football teams in the NFL right now, but a true blocking tight end.
Yeah.
Or a guy that has some upside as a receiver, but can block. That would be a nice compliment to, a guy like Brock Bowers. Because I'm thinking about building around Brock Bowers. I don't care about Michael Mayer. I'm just thinking about building.
Like a Lee Smith, what is his name?
Oh yeah,
Kevin Boss.
Hey, Lee Smith, Kevin Boss. We already got a starting tight end. I know everybody's gonna be like, oh well, man, Michael Mayer, 12 personnel.
He ain't been productive enough, bro. He has not been productive enough to justify it.
Didn't Mayer got hurt again? Like he can't even stay on the field.
Yeah, I think it was a concussion though. But yeah, it's rough though. Yeah, I think that's what it was. No,
Yeah.
it's an ankle. It was an ankle because Genty had an ankle too. Like, as soon as we start giving Genty the ball a lot, he gets hurt. So I think somebody said something about that.
And he was jumping on live calls. You talking about when Severe was calling in?
Oh yeah, talking when I was jumping in. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, see, hey, Daniel, you got a good memory.
Oh yeah, I was trashing Tyree way back then.
You have a good one where I clipped where you was trashing
Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs, yeah.
Yeah.
Josh
Jacobs proved me wrong last year. He proved me wrong. This year it's looking more like, all right, Josh. I see you kind of turned into what I thought it would be. But last year he balled though. I couldn't say nothing last year.
Yeah. I think Daniel asked earlier when you're gonna be at the tailgate. What time? When are you gonna be at the tailgate?
I'm gonna try to be there early. I think the games is gonna be a 1 a.m. game. I think. I mean, a 10 a.m. game. I believe, right? It's 10 a.m.
Nah, it's gonna be an afternoon game. It's
afternoon. Yeah, because it's on the West Coast. It's on the West Coast.
Yeah,
I'm tripping.
yeah.
It's on the. Yeah. So yeah, I'll probably be out there. I don't know. I'm looking at what 805. 805 is flying out here, I believe. So.
Okay.
I'm looking up with him. So I'll if nothing else, I'll announce it on my community tab.
Well, he was asking when the tailgate starts. My bad. You just asking when the tailgate starts.
They be out there early, bro. They be out there early, and like Myra, I think Myra and her crew is going to be out there. They be doing it big. So like slide through, show up. They.
Oh yeah, okay. So Daniel's going to the game. He got tickets.
Going to the game? Oh, for sure. Oh, we definitely got to hook up, bro. Because I keep missing Daniel Kim, man. So we definitely got to hook up.
For sure, man. Hey, wish I could go out there, but I can't invest any money in this team. I'm sorry, man.
If I didn't live here, I wouldn't.
It was man. Man,
bro.
I can't do it, man. I can't. Like I'll be so mad just going to the game, watching this team. Like it's bad enough watching them, like just watching it at the house or anywhere else, but just going to the game and just but the good, I'll say the best thing about going to the game, especially even if it's like, it's just the experience, like just being around hella people and just chopping it up and just having a good time. So y'all should have a good time either way, no matter what. So
Facts. That's the only thing. Come on, LS. Come on, man. LS, hop in the DeLorean and come back in time, bro. We'll treat you well. We will treat you well.
Man, yeah, because you all the way out in the other side of the world, man.
Hey,
right?
yo, LS. I need, cause I'm about to be done with football. I need a sport. I think it's the season runs from like October to like March. I think it's cricket. I know that's big in Australia, but I need you to put me up on cricket. I don't understand that game at all. I don't know what teams. They be breaking like a little stick thing. It is weird. I need to know what cricket is about and what teams to follow. That's gonna be
rugby. Rugby is huge out there too. I think rugby huge.
Rugby
in
is
Australia.
big out there too. Rugby is
huge. It's huge, man.
I think rugby. I think cricket might be the biggest sport out there, though, if I'm not mistaken.
Cricket? I think cricket's like. I think it's big in like I think India.
It's big in India and Jamaica too. I think.
Oh, in Jamaica too? Okay. Yeah, man. We appreciate buddy pulling up. All the love, man. Hey, y'all enjoy the holidays. Eat some good food. Have a good time. We'll be back here later this week, Friday, unofficially.
It's curling, Daniel Kim. Curling on ice, if that's what it's called. Curling.
Yeah. The curling?
That's what I think it was.
Handball? Handball? I don't know about handball. See, I
got a professional tag league. Hey, that thing is actually legit. Have you ever watched that? Like professional tag.
Like crazy. I want to get into boxing and UFC. Like I enjoy watching it. Like I watch it here and there, but I want to watch it like more consistently. But I just ain't got time like that. But yeah, boxing is kind of like
I watch boxing semi-consistent.
But it's kind of hard because like I think you still can enjoy it, but I feel like I feel like with all the it's all about like the names now, like or not even about not even names. What do you call about it? what do you call it? What's the dude's name? He has a huge following. He's not even like a
like celebrities and stuff like that.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Like Jake Paul and stuff like that. Yeah,
bro. Oh, is he really about to fight? Is he really about to fight the heavyweight?
He really about to fight Anthony Joshua. Yeah, he about to die, bro. He about to die, bro. Anthony Joshua is no joke. Anthony Joshua probably got him by like 60 pounds. Like, I don't know how much taller he is, but
shout out to Raider Way, man. I don't even know what I said or anybody said. So like, yeah, man, it is what it is, bro. We actually on our way out. Definitely check out the replay. We'll be back later this week, this Friday, around the shield. We'll have a guest. We'll be able to have a good time, talk about the Raiders, and continue the conversation. Definitely tune in. Yeah, Jake Paul. Yeah, it is. Yeah, if he's fighting Anthony Joshua, man, I think his confidence for some reason is at an all-time high because he's been fighting Mike Tyson at like 80 years old, and
exactly,
like, come on, man, like, it's not the same, bro. You find UFC fighters and that's past their prime, and it's just like in boxing, a different sport with their different rules. There's always been a huge advantage for Jake Paul, but this one is not. I don't think it's. Like you said, it's not gonna go too well. LS. You think he's gonna fold? You think he's gonna fold? That's what people have say about the Jake Paul fights. They feel like people fold for the money.
They're gonna take a dive
for the money. That's what they say.
I can see that happening. Him taking a dive for the money, but I don't know. It's kind of legacy was on the line for Anthony Joshua though, because he didn't took some bad losses already. So I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if he took a dive for a big enough payday.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see, man. Any last thoughts before we head out, Severe?
Nah, man. Yeah, man. I appreciate everybody, man. I've been rocking with your boy, rocking with this show from day one. It was kind of happenstance that we started this, man, on the whim. Pharaoh needed somebody to fill in one night, man. We've been doing it ever since, man. So. Shout out to the night crew, man. Y'all the real ones.
Yes, sir, man. Salute to everybody pulling out. Clock out on the way out. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. We'll see y'all next week. The timing, just stay tuned because I know someone asked about what time Friday for ATS. We'll just stay tuned. Just make sure you hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when we go live. But it's gonna be this Friday, a little bit earlier than obviously the late night shows that we do. So just tune into that. All right. Peace.
Just win, baby.
Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.